like a time constraint on some of these so that we don't go off on another 1 hour EA ranting thing for the
Yeah, let's not do that.
I'd say you guys want to do like maybe 10 minutes tops on each topic? There's 17 topics here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. I'm pretty sure 1 is going to have quite a few, mainly revolving around Capcom. 2 is probably going to be short.
Oh, yeah.
3 should be cool. Loot boxes, yeah, we should be able to get these in under 10 minutes for the most part.
Okay, I'm gonna get a timer ready on my my phone.
Also, don't forget to mention Konso in the beginning. He will be coming in during the podcast somewhere. He's going off to eat something.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can just do timer 10 minutes and just restart the timer again. All right. I need to click my mic up really fast from the... I was using my phone for a minute there when I was restarting the computer, so I had a little drop down mic up. Take it to my way. Character creation.
There we go.
Okay. Ren, I never plan on diverging. It just happens.
That's a problem. It is never planned.
Well,
it's not diverging if you planned it.
There was a couple times where I diverged off
scripting a podcast.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just giving it read through the last few ones here. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're about to go to Fish Market again.
Okay.
I'd
rather not. I don't like fish.
I don't blame you. All right. All right. I'm ready to start it. About 5 seconds here. Recording's running. Yeah, you're recording. Okay. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rebellion's Edge podcast. I'm getting through the intro really fast here because we got a long one. It's going to be about the best and worst gaming gimmicks. And we've got a little list in order. We're going to go through if we think it's good, if we think it's bad, and go from there. All right. So, in order, Retro Sheep.
Oh.
Introduce yourself.
Sorry.
No, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Retro Sheep. I have recently, just not minutes ago, but maybe a day ago, moved to London, so I'm a bit all over the place now. So yeah, no, haven't had time to play games in... That's annoying, but yeah, there we go.
We're going to talk about them today.
If you can't play them, talk about them.
All right.
Well, this is going back decades of gimmicks and stuff, so...
Oh yeah, there's some in here that are technically not in the gaming sphere anymore. They're elsewhere. So we got a good little bit list talked about. Yeah. Shadow?
Yo, what's up? I'm Shadow from Switzerland. I'm actually gonna move in a few weeks, so yeah. I'm probably also gonna have that problem that you have, Retro Sheep.
It's not something to look forward to.
Yeah, I know.
Alright, Shadow Pyro?
It's DS Shadow Pyro. I'm actually not moving anywhere anytime soon, so there's that.
I feel like I'm a minority with that myself.
That's pretty much it for now. I'm going to be on YouTube and Instagram, and I tweet sometimes when the mood strikes me.
Hey, there we go. Jamma John.
What's going on? I'm Jamma John. I actually have been on here for maybe only a couple days. Renegade actually invited me on here. So this is actually for sure my first podcast. So this is kind of exciting for me, to be honest.
Hey, we gotta always remember your first.
Yeah. I'll never forget it. I'm already looking at the topic, and I'm excited about it. So.
All right, and Grump. You, yeah.
Grump? Where'd you get Grump from?
Well, I saw your name. I tried to shorten it down, make it fast. My bad.
This is like my Instagram, please. Not
fair point.
But yeah, I honestly don't know if I have a proper nickname. I did get called Another Fucking for quite a while because my YouTube channel's called Another Fucking Let's Play channel. No one knew what to shorten it to. So similar problem. I should probably think of simpler names. But yeah, I suppose I'm called Another Fucking.
Well, we'll just call you. We'll call you Another. How about that?
Yeah, if you want, that's
It'll
fine.
be Another.
Yeah, it's my first
And
podcast
another.
as well. My first podcast as well. Renegade found me in an alley somewhere.
Oh man!
Oh,
Recruited me. He was like, "Hey kid, you want to be in a podcast?" I was like, yeah,
Did you
sure,
want
why
to get?
not?
Did he give you any cheeseburgers?
No.
Oh.
He did offer me
boy.
something, but I declined it.
Was this a
Hashtag
Weinstein
blame Ren.
offers? Let's say, was this a Weinstein offer or something, Ren?
Something of similar legality.
You know what?
emerging
I'll take it.
from the Ren emerging from the darkness and saying, "It's time, big boy."
You want to play a game?
Would you like to play?
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way, brother?
I
And we
am the
also
captain now.
have Conso coming in a little bit later. He's a little bit delayed, but he'll be back in shortly. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. The first one is on-disc DLC. Basically, the practice of content that was already on the game at launch, but they decided to hold back with a paywall or stuff like that. We got 10 minutes on the clock here. I'm gonna quickly start. I was probably I hated this fucking trend the most, actually. Some of Capcom's fighting games in the 360 PS3 era was a little nightmarish just because of that. But it's I'm glad to see that's sort of faded away.
Yeah, I think it's partly due to the fact that back then, while you were waiting for a game to launch, it'd take like months in committee getting, rated by the ESRB and whatever, and that'd be a lot of time to work on extra stuff,
Yeah.
which you couldn't actually like package with the rest of the game because that was in its final, phase or whatever. But you could add it on as on disc DLC, and that's why it sort of existed. So that might just be an excuse. I wouldn't know.
I would say, like, especially for digital games, though, or like if it has a day one patch, it sort of feels like not really a full excuse from them. Because, like, I'm fine with. We'll get into this a little bit later. I'm fine with skins and stuff being on a disc. That kind of makes sense if you're doing like matchmaking stuff for some games, but it's annoying still, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
personally
understandable.
Yeah, if a game costs you as much as a game normally does, like $60 or £50 or whatever, then the cosmetics should really be in the game. I don't like how they've sort of, certain things are sort of like defended with saying, "Oh, it's only cosmetic that you have to pay extra for."
Yeah.
I
can
do not
understand
like that at all. It just feels like it's just another thing that should have been in the game. It's like, oh, it's only cosmetic. You don't have to, look good to play the game. And it's like, but it's a social thing. This game that I'm playing. Why would I not want to look good?
Yeah, it's kind of
very tricky. It's definitely tricky. I mean, like my main experience in on this DLC is with Capcom, and when the big thing came out with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and with Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, they're on the disc. Why am I now paying? Don't get me wrong, I spent my money on it, and I'm one of those people. If I want something, I'm going to do it, and I got it. But it is annoying that it's on the disc, so it's already been completed. Why am I now having to spend money on it? At least with Street Fighter 5, they somewhat sorted that out by, yes, the characters are there, but you have to unlock them like it was back in the day. But to be perfectly honest, this on-disc DLC kind of thing for Capcom has probably been something they've been doing for a while. Well, not even with the arcade, but like the amount of upgrades they did, they must have, after the initial launch of Street Fighter 2 World Warriors, when that hit off, they must have done, okay, we're going to do more, and we're just going to do more updates, and then that led into what we have now, which is on this DLC. And it is annoying, especially with the skins. Like, why am I spending more money on skins like make it unlockable like they were back in the day? I did this and I unlocked this skin. I did that, unlocked that skin, and now you have to pay for every skin that you have, even if it looks crap, or they bundle it with the character that you're not going to use and stuff.
Yeah. Halo Reach, I think,
Oop.
you know, with their matchmaking, it would just be like, you'd have to buy things with credits you went in game, but it was, you know, something to work towards, and it wasn't like an insane grind where it'd be like, hey, but you can buy it instead with real money. That won't take as long.
It's just kind of the fact that on this DLC it's like dangling in front of your face. Yeah, you could have it. It's there, but you need to buy it. I mean, I understand the process why you would create something like that. I mean, if you're finishing off a game and you have a complete art team that is not busy right now, of course you're going to create, like, as you said, skins or something like that. But still, it just leaves like a bad taste in your mouth that they put it on there and they locked it just so you have to spend a little bit more. You know, I understand it, but I still don't really like it.
It was funny that you mentioned Marvel vs. Capcom 3, though, because actually, like, just a couple weeks ago, I actually went and bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I didn't get the, what was it, the
Ultimate.
Game of the Year? Yeah, Ultimate. So I got the regular one, but before, when I originally played it, I would play as, like, Frank West and everything, because I had the Ultimate Edition. And then I went back and got the regular one, and I was like, oh my god, what did I just do?
Yeah.
Now, Ultimate now is what? Well, for where I am, it's £20 for Ultimate 3 when you download it, because they re-released it for the current generation.
Right.
So you can get, like, everyone on there. Like, well, I say everyone very loosely. You can get not Black Widow, she's an Infinite, Jill and Shimurga on there, just free, and all the DLC that came with it. Well, that game had crappy DLC, but that's another topic for that.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure how much this quite counts towards this, but they've got things now in, say, like the Call of Duty games. I play quite a bit of the zombies mode, and they've got 2 maps on disc as well. One of them comes with the disc. The other is locked behind buying the season pass.
Yeah,
rather than
that'd be more
buying.
That'd be more.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But
I do want to get into that though.
Oh yeah.
I have seen an idea that on this DLC could be used to, like, combat pre-owned games.
That also was.
Like.
Yeah, that's question 9, and season passes is like
bit further up.
Yeah. So what you could do is you could have the single player on the disc and the multiplayer is on disc DLC. But if you buy the game new, it would have
it would have all the content.
It would have a code that you could redeem, and then you'd have the multiplayer stuff for free.
We're talking about that later on.
Yeah, but when you buy it from the pre-owned game place, you wouldn't have the code anymore, and you'd have to buy the multiplayer. And they'd still make some money back from the pre-owned game.
Okay. Really quick, we do have Konso coming in.
Yes, good evening. I guess I should introduce myself very quickly.
Yep.
Yes. I'm Konso from Italy with Food. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, I had an extra minute onto this topic for you. How do you feel about on this DLC?
On this DLC, now we need to start by the fact that in general I'm against DLC of small size. I prefer expansion packs and stuff that adds a significant amount of content. But the fact that is on disc, it makes it easier to unlock compared to other kind of DLCs. You just plop in a jury-rigged file and you have them available. So maybe it's the least harmful form of DLC to an extent.
I mean, yes and no. If you don't mod, like, if you mod your 360 or PS3, that'd be easier, but it would be a pain in the ass to do without having a modded console.
Well, yes, that's true, but compared to other stuff in which you have to be connected to servers or do, I don't know, God knows what kind of trickery, it's probably
Oh, we're gonna get a hell of a lot more trickery when we get a little bit in.
Yes. I have the list with me, and yes, that's definitely going to be some spicy stuff down there.
All right, ready for next topic, folks?
Yeah.
I'm down.
You want?
All right. Give us 9 minutes for this one. Motion controls, which they were popularized back in 06 for the Nintendo Wii, although motion controls have existed for a lot longer than then, but we don't talk about those. And with current platforms such as the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, PSVR, and even the Nintendo Switch to some extent, using motion controls popular, like Mario Odyssey and all the HTC Vive, stuff like that. Big games are using motion controls again. What do you guys think of it?
I don't know why.
I think it. The Wii popularized it because it was cheap. I think it wasn't really. It wasn't really.
Well, I'd say there were some
good
neat.
enough.
There were some neat games that came with that.
Oh yeah, I loved the Wii. The Wii was like the first console I ever bought. I think.
The Wii
Wii
was
is the only one that actually managed to get it done right.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
heard
they had
that-
the right games to go with it rather than they did it right, because Kinect was cool, but it was off. Like the sensor wasn't that great, but they had some cool games like Dance Dance stuff. But the Wii had the right games. Like they had some Bleach games. They had the can't remember what it's called, but it has a song called "Come With It," and it's very bloody and gory. It's like one of the only 18s that was on the Nintendo Wii. And it worked out really well. Like it has the games that went with it. Other consoles, the games that were being released on them did not suit motion capture at all. Even like the PlayStation Move games, that sensor was terrible and Kinect was terrible. Only the Nintendo got the sensors right for the games that they had. And the Wii Sport is fun for what it is.
Well,
I heard they're discontinuing the Kinect.
Hang on.
Kinect.
They
Did anyone else hear about
discontinued. Hang on. They discontinued the Kinect last year. They They discontinued the sensor, the adapter that you could use for the Xbox One and PC. Over the later Xbox models like the S and the X. See, the thing with Kinect, I want to talk about. It was interesting, but it's much better as a like homemade motion control rig, like motion capture rig, than it is for gaming.
It seems to be mostly a matter of how the software is written for them, rather than how the hardware itself. Because motion controls seems to be mainly something a gimmick, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about a thing in general, but how it is applied.
Well, I think Nintendo was really smart with the Wii designing it the way they did. It was simple to get a hold of and pick up.
It was meant to be sold in big quantities to people that are not used to video games, and so that they could get into it better, I guess, or easier.
Yeah. We'll see. Also, the PlayStation Move. I own both the PlayStation Move and the Wii. Getting a hold of a Move, it feels really weird compared to the Wii, which feels kind of natural. We're used to remotes and all that, so it feels like an actual remote. The PlayStation Move, for lack of a better term, feels like a weird dildo in your hands.
Wouldn't know what that's like, so
I've dated some weird women.
Not a regular one, but a weird one.
Yeah.
You know the regular ones that you hold, not like that.
That grip feels all right, but the weird one, nah, I can't mess with that.
It feels like something that you'd see like accidentally jammed in an orifice when you're a doctor.
Yeah.
You just say hentai. That probably is the safest option to go with.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Motion controls for me always really felt like a true gimmick. I don't know. For me, they never really added something interesting to the game. But I like them in VR because I somehow feel, I know VR is coming up later, but the motion controls feel like it's part of a game and I feel like I'm in the game. But with the V, for example, I always felt people looked like they're jerking off like an imaginary giraffe when they're shaking around their controls. And to me, that always I never could get into that. It looked so goofy to me. So
why would you
I don't
get
know.
into jerking off giraffes?
There was one game in Mario Party for the Wii where you use the motion control and it's like you're like shaking a can or something.
Yes, it's so
it
stupid.
looks like you're jerking off.
It's
I'm adding
really
an extra
dumb.
minute for this.
Yeah, I do think they sort of compromised on the technology to make it more affordable in that case, as Nintendo do tend to do, and I think that's probably what the reason why it was so popular, but among the masses, but it wasn't quite as well accepted in sort of the proper gamer community.
It's great for kids, I imagine, because kids like to jump around and swing their arms like crazy little monkeys. But I don't. I like to either like sit down like a lazy sod like that I am, or in VR. Then it's something different because I really feel like I'm in the world and I'm swinging around whatever I'm swinging around.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Also bad for TVs if you don't have those straps on.
oh yeah.
I definitely don't. I think that not everyone's going to be happy until we're at least in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Before then, there's always going to be some sort of nitpick.
I guess so.
I think just on like one final point, I think the Wii was advertised accurately for what it was. It was advertised as a family console, not a gamer's console. So I think that's what really helped it sell really well, meaning they were able to get the money for it.
I think it could have easily become a gamer's console, but the problem is that it didn't have the games for it. It did have a couple like really good gamer type games. Like I think Mad World's pretty fun.
Mm.
Smash Bros was pretty good, but the online for it was trash.
But again,
yeah.
Smash Bros is party orientated though, because it's meant to be multiplayer.
Okay. One quick thing, so I'm gonna add an extra minute just for this rant. That was because everybody used fucking Wii on Wi-Fi instead of buying the adapter, which is still dumb. You had to buy the adapter, but fuck Wi-Fi. That's all I'm gonna say.
Also, we're not talking about motion controls like in 6-axis controls, right? Because these are terrible in most cases.
Yeah,
Oh, that was the bane of my life. It was disgusting. That platinum trophy for Heavy Rain, where you have to walk across the bloody thing without 6-axis move.
Yeah, that's painful.
Something that I really hated, like, oh god, yeah. I don't know why Sony was saying like, like Rumble is an outdated feature, guys, and then they went to immediately put it in a year after like PS3 launched, and then like the motion controls forced into like Lair. I don't know if you ever played Lair, but that game would have been great if I didn't have to tilt the controller around and like slam into things with it. It's awful.
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to go next one or?
Yeah.
We can move on.
Yeah, we're going to the third one, microtransactions. So, microtransactions. Yeah, I'm gonna do the intro for this one really fast. Microtransactions really don't need that much introduction, but this is basically the multiple in-game items, like anything you can buy that's like a small item. So like 99 cents for a skin or $2 for a gun in a game.
I think it really depends on the game.
Yes.
What it is. Like if the game, say like, as long as it's not pay to win, I'm all for microtransactions.
So
if you want to spend, go
ahead. I'll
if you want to spend like $50, pounds, whatever currency you're using, and pay some money to get some skins, or like even if you're paying like GTA and get the shark cards, that is your business. You want to spend that money because you can grind in GTA or any other game where as long as you can get it in game, but you can pay instead and get things easier, I'm okay with it. Just don't force me to do something.
I would probably say that GTA is technically pay to win, but only because the grind is just so.
It's.
Yes, it depends.
If you're by yourself, it is. If you're by yourself, it is. If you've got a group of friends, then it's solid. Like when I had it on 360, I was playing with a bunch of friends. The grind was fun, but if you're by yourself, nah, it's. I don't think it's worth it when you're by yourself.
Or when you're playing games like I play a lot of Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends.
Okay.
That's a game where you can get a lot of microtransactions without having to really pay. But you said, you gotta have a group with you, because the more people you have with you, the more coins you get and everything. Especially not just with wins, but you get like friend bonuses, first win of the day bonuses, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems to depend on the way. Oh, okay. it seems to depend on the way they are implemented and the game in which they appear. Because I can think of, a free-to-play game, microtransactions. I mean, the developers have to bring food home in some way.
Yeah.
So but at this point, we need to figure out if it is pay to win or pay to skip, so to say. Because now my first free-to-play game was Battlefield Heroes and was published by Electronic Arts, and I think that says a lot about it.
Yeah.
And that was a awfully scandalous pay to win, to the point you couldn't even get a permanent gun without having to shell out money. I mean, and they made a quick calculation in the past, I believe, and to rent a gun for 1 day, you had to play for the counterpart, and we mean effective gameplay time, non-stop, of 8 hours. Not counting loading times, not counting lobby time, and all that kind of stuff. So that is scandalous, and that's not the way it should be done. And do not get me started about microtransactions on top of already paid games. Because
that's just not necessary.
Why? The only question is why? You can already bring your money home. You're just nickel and diming the hell out of players. Stop, please. I don't know what else to say. Just stop, please.
Yeah, see, I do have a bit of a different thing. I'm fine with games like if I pay under $30 for a game, I'm fine with some microtransactions. I don't normally pay for them. The only game I hate to say that I've ever done anything like this, but I've paid for GTA Shark cards because of that grind.
No, why?
if it makes you feel
You're making it worse.
Hold on, if it makes you feel any better, I only did a $10 one because I got free $10 code from Xbox Live. I was like, okay, sure, fucking enter that.
I guess you could have spent your money on something better, but as it's not money that you spent yourself,
I should have spent it on something else. But I'm fine if I don't spend like anything about $30 for a game. I'm fine with microtransactions. Like I don't deal with them. I know people that spend a ton of money in like mobile games, which always feels like the weirdest thing.
I don't believe that's confusing. Like if we're going on to like mobile games and Facebook games and stuff like that, I guess because they're all free to play, it makes sense.
I'm adding 3 minutes for this.
I think it makes sense on like Facebook games and stuff like that because those are free to play and like people want to get their farms to a better stage or stuff like that.
Well, it gets really, really shady. My mother spent $100 on Farmville about a year before it like went under.
That's exactly what happened to my mom as well. She spent stacks. She was like, "Hey, I got this game."
Go and sell their account. They'll make like one of the in-app games like on your phone and everything. They'll like go and they'll either grind or they'll just put a huge amount of money to it and they'll sell the account to someone. They'll like put their account on eBay and are like, "All right, well, here's the email and here's the password." It's like, what?
People from Venezuela, a notably socialist country with all that shit going on, they're doing that to make money to eat.
But thinking about it, it's a business strategy like any other. You just spend your time in exchange of money. It's an exchange of services. I guess goods for services.
It's a very strange service, though.
Yeah.
Oh, very. But
if
again,
it works,
I think it's the game. Definitely the game. And guns, depending on the game, but I think the only viable thing for me personally when it comes to microtransactions is really and truly skins. And a lot of the time I think it should be just, is it in the game? When were these skins created? Do you actually want to buy the skin?
And I do also think that how much the game initially cost should matter as well.
I'm of the opinion that it's free to play, has microtransactions, and nothing else. Just because it's ridiculous.
What about games like Killer Instinct? Because that's technically Killer Instinct. That's technically free to play because you can download it and you have one character a week, but you can buy characters that you want, or you can buy the full game. And I think Dead or Alive 5 did it as well.
I'd say it's a really good micro. I consider microtransactions in a weird way, but I consider it good microtransactions.
I would consider Killer Instinct.
Say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's like 3 different kinds of microtransactions, and 2 of them for me are okay. 1 is not. The first one is like style microtransactions for skin and whatnot, And I don't want to know how much money I spend in League of Legends for skins, because it's a metric fuckton. That's all I'm gonna say. And there's like also like convenient microtransactions. For example, in Guild Wars.
Yeah, I have to admit,
there's some stuff like, instead of buying a new pickaxe every few hours, you can buy this super mega pickaxe that will never run out of charges. Yeah, okay, that's a small thing. I can see past that. But there's a third kind, and that's just, I would just call them cheats. You're buying cheats for a game. And that's what I'm not okay with. That's so fucked up. Even in single player, because you're ruining the game for yourself effectively. But in multiplayer, it's even more stupid, because you're basically cheating on other players in some kind of way. At least it feels to me like that.
Yeah, especially considering certain things that have sort of been seen on the horizon. Like, I know Activision's patented like this method for designing a multiplayer game, where the matchmaking would put new players against people who had bought better equipment,
who already had better weapons, and then after they got like stomped on,
like,
say, hey, do you want to buy this weapon?
Yeah, not even from grinding or anything, but like people who bought the weapon. Like, hey, this guy just killed you, bought something, he's better than you. You want to buy the same thing? Or maybe something better than you'll be even better than him. And then it sort of goes around where you kill the other guy, and the other guy's like, oh man, I wish I had the extra cool gun that cost a bit more than my one.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
It just goes on and on in a cycle.
They have stated they don't actually implement that in games yet.
Yet.
They say they don't say the
should
yet
have
part, but I'm quite thinking the yet is coming. But
that's very sinister.
We are never going to put this in a game. The only reason we painted this is to put it in a locked box and then
Did anyone see that meme where it's it's from Episode 3 Star Wars, and when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting each other, he goes, "It's over, Anakin. I have the higher ground." There's the meme where it says, "It's over, Anakin. I have purchased the higher ground DLC."
Yep.
Brilliant. I love the Star Wars Reddit.
Right? I love it so much.
All right, everybody ready to jump to the next topic?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
This one I'm going to put 15 minutes on the timer. Actually, 12 minutes. So, loot boxes. They are essentially the Funko Pop crate of gaming.
Microtransactions on steroids.
Pretty much.
Yep.
It's a microtransaction, but a random microtransaction.
Yep. You have random chances to get items in games. Some games use it in multiplayer, some games use it in single player, some games use it in both, or in side modes. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, and we're gonna get into both of them, I think.
When they're bad when you have to pay for them.
Go ahead, I'll ask my rhetorical question later.
Okay.
No, they're just bad when you have to pay for them, I reckon.
What games do you have to pay for them? For loot boxes? Or are you talking about where you have the option to, or where you have to pay for them?
Well,
most of them you have the option, right?
Where you have the option.
Yeah.
I just think that there's no way a loot box can be good if you can pay for it.
I think it's like the microtransactions thing. It's very contextual. There are some games where I'm fine with the loot boxes, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I again haven't paid for them ever, so. But then there's some games where you're like, okay, you really want me to pay for this shit, don't you?
Yeah, I think Shadow of War was one of the recent instances where that happened, right?
Yes.
And a single player game, which is weird.
Yes, it was a big scandal, actually, I think, because it showed those. In fact, now let me ask my rhetorical question now that I can.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a good instance of loot boxes in games?
I would say so, yes, but it's a little bit a fringe one. Because I would consider every trading card game loot boxes, technically speaking. Don't you?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I play Magic the Gathering. I played a little bit of Hearthstone. I cannot just say all loot boxes and random loot boxes are bad, because I pay a lot of money for random cards. So I don't know, but
I see your
That
that's
doesn't make them good.
that's a whole game designed around it. Maybe it's different there. I don't know, but it feels weird.
Yeah, with like Overwatch though, I mean like Overwatch, every time you level up, you get a loot box. Sometimes they just send you one just because it's a new season, new holiday, and everything. So
Like, hey,
Well,
here
yes, it also happened with Paladins, but I still think of them as a mechanic that you still have to pay for them in theory to get stuff.
Yeah,
I think
Well-
in answer to the question, Injustice 2 with the mother boxes, for me, it's the best one. Like, if you play the game, no matter, you get stacks and stacks and stacks of mother boxes, especially if you're in a guild. You get them for free. You don't have to do anything. Like the guild gets you the mother boxes anyway. And if you're playing the game itself, you get them through leveling up and just over time. And they're for every character, unless you're specifically looking for one thing, like the Staff of Grayson, which a lot of people still don't have after like the game's been out for what, just over a year or coming up to. When did it come out? I don't know.
It's almost a year.
Yeah, and it's been out for a while, and people still don't have it, and they've been playing it since day release. Apart from wanting one specific thing, it gives you gear pieces for every character. Some of them are rare, some of them are uncommon, and so on. The worst game I've had when it comes to loot boxes and so on is Destiny. I hate engrams. I can't deal with that kind of thing, because you get like a legendary engram, but it gives you a common piece of gear.
Well, okay, I consider Destiny like a little different from loot boxes, unless you talk like the bright engrams from Destiny 2.
I would say if you have a random chance of getting something, it is like you get something where you have a random chance of getting a thing. I would say that's technically a loot box.
That brings a lot of problems with it, this definition.
I'm having 3 more minutes for this.
It's right with Destiny. If you have a legendary, you should get a legendary. You should get, no matter what it is. If you've got that, you should get that. Overwatch is the problem is I don't get what I want, and that's my problem with the loot box. And other than that, I guess it's fair. There's so much you can't get in them, but I don't get what I want.
Yeah, with like I said, when I play, like I said, with Heroes of the Storm, like that, it's just more incentive to play longer. Because like I've gotten loot boxes where I've gotten a brand new hero in Heroes of the Storm, and I'm just like I was just about to log off, and then I open it and I get a brand new character, and I'm like, well, it's already 2 a.m. I might as well just keep playing and just lose legs. So it's like even whether it's a new skin, but like when you sit there and you're grinding out and you get a new box, and it's a completely new character that you've been eyeing for quite a while, you're just like, holy crap, like now I already know I'm pouring even more into this game in this one session.
Yeah, I guess the opening up of loot boxes and receiving something cool, that's kind of a rush that a lot of people want. That's why they still put them in the games, right?
Yeah, that's what developers use to get you to pay money, though. That's the whole skinner boxing thing. It's a predatory practice, and it's based on addictive personalities and crappy psychology.
It has to be implemented well. Like I said, Injustice does it really well. You can buy stuff, but you get a bunch of stuff for free. Overwatch, I think the difference is like a good loot box, I would say, is probably fair in Overwatch, give or take what you're actually looking for, whereas Destiny is terrible.
Yeah, I would say every loot box system that incentivizes you to buy loot boxes to actually get ahead in the game is a no-go for me. That's why I still refuse to play Shadow of War. I will not touch that game. I just hate that fucking practice of doing that. Because it's heavily incentivized.
I sort of agree with you, but I also, in a weird way, I don't hate Halo 5's loot boxes, which they give you cards for Warzone, which is a side game.
Hated that. Hang
on, but you also can, like, you earn all that kind of stuff, though, anyways, by just playing like the normal game modes, or even Warzone. You get those cards over time.
True. But the grind in that game for what it was harsh.
But Arena is still the best mode anyways, though.
I definitely don't think that if you're paying full price for a bloody game, there shouldn't be like, microtransactions or loot boxes in it. Because the devs have already made the money off you. I mean, anything else, like, there should be a more definite value to it than,
I can understand why they put these things in there.
Yeah, I can.
Then what about
understand why as
unlockables
well,
then?
to make
Like,
more money.
Well,
if you back in the day when you did a certain thing or complete a certain amount of levels, you get something unlocked. It's literally the same thing, except instead of a definite unlockable, you get something like in Street Fighter 4. If you beat the guy with like 2 perfects and ultra combo finishes, blah blah blah, you could fight Akuma, blah blah blah, whatever, and you unlock a skin or something like that. It's the same thing. Instead of getting one thing, you get like 5 things in one pack, depending on the game. I think loot boxes implemented will work.
It's because wearing the skin represents 2 different things. Because on the one you were talking about, where you had to do something, it's like, oh hey, look, I've got this cool skin because I did this hard thing to do, and everyone who you play against will see that. Whereas if it's just a loot box or a microtransaction, you're just saying, oh hey, look, I paid for this, or I was lucky enough to get this in a loot box, and it's just sort of, what's the point? What's the point of it?
Yeah.
It completely sort of removes incentive to get the skin, other than the reason that you want to look cool, which I think is sort of an integral enough part of multiplayer games in the first place that it shouldn't be charged for in a full price game.
I hear that.
I think someone said that the devs don't need more money. I think it's they see much of it anyway. It's, I think, up to the devs. They wouldn't even put microtransactions in. I think most of the blame goes to the publishing companies, and I think that's what really controls it in.
Yeah, I have seen people arguing about GTA Online and Red Dead Redemption 2 and whether that's going to have something similar to shark cards in it, and I've seen people say stuff like, oh, they wouldn't do it. Rockstar have got a really clean image and they wouldn't want to besmirch that. And I'm just thinking, it's not Rockstar Games who would be putting the shark cards or whatever in it. It'd be 2K, and they don't give a shit about their image.
Yeah, no,
they
devs
do
are
terrible
going to
stuff
get your
all the
money off
time.
the online passes. It's not just like microtransactions or loot boxes. They're getting your money off these online passes.
Was this like a subscription?
Like where it's like, I see it's on our list, so yeah, we're gonna be getting to that.
So we'll save it for that. Yeah. Everybody ready to go to the next topic? I do want to put a little final note on here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Next topic.
With this one, I'm gonna leave a final note for the loot box one. I think obviously the price of designing a game and making a AAA title nowadays is very expensive. I get why they want to do stuff like loot boxes and microtransactions, because we haven't had a price increase in gaming in almost 16 years.
Well, I mean, if you consider like all the microtransaction loot boxes and also Ultimate Editions and Season Passes and stuff, and if you compare with inflation and actual the amount of people who are buying games compared to how much that was, say a couple generations ago in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
It works out that today's games are cheaper to make.
Well, I'd also say there's more risk now, if that makes sense. Like, for most established brands, there's not, but yeah. Go on.
In perspective, the PlayStation, when it first came out, was like about £500, dollars, can't remember, roughly around that mark. And considering now, the Xbox One, I got it at like, 300 and something on a special. But when it first came out, again, it was about 500. So everything is still in line with, like you said, inflation and stuff like that. So they're probably the same price, just numerically, it feels either more expensive or cheaper depending on when you buy your games. I used to get a lot of pre-owned games, but a lot of the games now I'm just buying on my hard drive. And those are, £50 versus a game that I used to get back in the day on the PlayStation was like £30.
Well, straight off the bat. Still, with digital distribution, they're still saving money on not having to print games. So their saving from you buying that does sort of offset smaller amount that you pay for it.
Yeah.
True.
All right, now to the amiibos, and I'm also going to add stuff like the Skylanders and all that.
Yeah.
Basically, collectible figurines that are designed to be cross-references with different games to unlock in-game content. Now,
Toys to life, basically.
Yeah, toys to life, stuff like that. I don't hate this concept. I own Disney Infinity stuff, and I also own some amiibos.
I actually really like this concept. I'm just too poor to take part in it.
It ain't a bad idea.
Yeah, it sounds very innocent, actually.
It helps the companies because people want to collect certain things. I mean, hell, Nintendo figures before amiibo sold like gangbusters. But you give somebody like hell. I bought a Chibi Robo one because I love the original game. I don't even have the 3DS game, but I have that.
Yeah, I also have a friend who has a lot of these Skylander things, and they never played the game.
To be fair, I think you can double them up because you can have them for the game, but you can also use them as collectible figurines. So even outside of gaming, because I recently got my friend a Poe Dameron one because I saw him say, hey, he likes Poe Dameron, so I got it. But for actual gaming, I think out of everything that we're probably going to talk about is probably the most innocent thing. But on the other side, it's like, why do I need to pay for something already? It's similar to a microtransaction, but it's hidden very well when it comes to like Skylanders and stuff like that, because it's aimed at children.
Yeah, I definitely think that it might you might see a resurgence of it, like, I don't know, 20 years or so down the line, where it's so cheap to make, you can like make individual toys to life, like 50p each, and they'd be sort of like Pokemon. Like I know that when the Wii first came out with its NFC thing, the first game that did it was called Pokemon Rumble HD or something. And each of the figurines only cost like £2 or $2.50 or whatever, and it's kind of a shame that they didn't have. I think the main problem for me there was availability, because I don't think I ever really saw any of them being sold anywhere.
No.
I mean, granted, I don't live in a big city or anything. I was living in a fairly small town at the time. But
no, you're right. It wasn't sold that much.
I did have places that could have sold it. They just didn't. And that's the main reason why I, didn't get into that. Because, I mean, Nintendo do like to do a lot of the artificial scarcity stuff. Which I do not get the point of at all. I mean, some might argue that it's supposed to, I don't know, drive up demand, which then results in all of your stock, being sold as opposed to having surplus. But I just think that, surplus isn't a terrible thing, because it just, it's good for the consumer, because it means that there's going to be stuff being sold off that'll be cheaper than the original thing. And it won't be Nintendo making a loss because they've already sold it to the distributors.
Right.
True. I think the best game that this kind of thing could work with is literally games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And all those other kind of things. Because if you buy the cards in real life and you actually have like a mat or something that replicates that, or you slot it into something, it works quite well for that.
Yeah, I do not get why there hasn't been like a collectible card game or something.
Because they like to sell you the cards digitally again.
Yeah,
that's what Magic does.
True.
Yeah, I don't get why there hasn't been a game, a card game where you like buy the cards, but each of them have like a chip inside that you can, I don't know, slap onto your phone or something, and then it comes up in the app.
Like a NFC tag, stuff like that.
They do that with Pokemon now. They do that with trading cards.
Well, the thing is, I think the biggest problem there is that most people who play these kind of trading card games, they're social people in that aspect, that they like to sit in front of an opponent and not in front of a screen. At least for me, that's the reason that I do that.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I see them all the time in like the stores that we've got over here that I live in London, by the way.
I mean, it's a lot funnier if you can taunt your opponent while he's sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
True.
Also,
true.
I foresee this technology. I could see a future where a Call of Duty game, you could buy an actual gun and then scan it, and then you have it in game.
We don't need more of those.
Yeah, I know, but I just saying.
Hang on, now you're speaking my language, though. To be fair, I have something that's perfect for that game. Double barrel shotgun. Damn.
Yes, I have good ideas. Hire me, please.
I think Shadow mentioned it in the last EU podcast, but with the whole buying stuff online and things, the servers get shut down eventually. You lose everything you've bought.
Yeah.
With the fact of this and his Magic the Gathering cards, it's a physical object.
Yeah, that's
Servers
awesome.
lose a physical object.
I mean, I just packed like 10 boxes full of Magic cards to move to the new apartment, so I have something. I can sell them eventually if I like to.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that with
Skateboard.
digital cards.
And you can also sell the toys as the DLC toys in the future. So it kind of becomes like use the DLC market, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, definitely.
Are we good for this topic, or?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm good.
I mean, there have been I think there have been people trying to sort of have laws passed that make abandoned multiplayer games public domain or something.
Yeah, they're working on that.
Yeah, so
It'd
like,
be interesting to see like old archived online games from Library of Congress.
yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think it would do a lot to legitimize, games as whatever to a larger audience if we archived them and showed them evolving over a.
That's what YouTube's for.
That too, yes.
Well, I think the problem with that is that you can't play the games if you're just watching them on YouTube.
True.
And
Well,
that
there are
you know,
people.
loses part of the inherent meaning of the game.
I'm trying to find the guy who does P2P Online, a YouTube channel. He's like one of the curators of like archiving games at I think it's Museum of Play in Rochester, New York.
I did not know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that place is pretty cool. I've seen some like videos of it. I'm like, man, I gotta go there. Sorry, we're deviating here. To the next topic, character creation. So,
Is
for
this
some
really a
people,
gimmick?
you could say it's a gimmick, and it's already on the list. We're gonna keep it as a gimmick.
The fact that it is in games where it has no place of being, technically speaking, yeah, definitely.
Whoa. It definitely has a place. Character creation.
It's the best. Creating your own character is the best thing ever. I mean, video games.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the purposes of video games is escapism. So having yourself in the game makes it even cooler.
Yeah.
All right, but before we get into this, give me 1 second. So basically, some of the biggest driving points on some games, like Grand Theft Auto Online or Sonic Forces, is the fact that you can customize your character to hell and back. Clothing, facial features, freckles, stuff like that. And the ideas of creating characters with abilities and appeal that's all done by you has been implemented in tons of games. What are you guys' thoughts on
Wet
it?
dream.
We all
I
play
think
this
one of
game.
the best.
Wreck and everything.
So you guys are talking about like Sonic Forces. I'm thinking of a Mortal Kombat Armageddon, just making your own character and doing your own fatality as someone that either looks like you or looks like you that has like devil wings and shit. Like,
Yeah, I also like the idea of having a character that looks like you and sort of that changing your reaction to stuff that you do in the game. Like there was someone who said something online a while back about how in Saints Row he always used to make the character look exactly like himself. So when he was doing these horrible psychopathic things, it would look like he was doing them, and that would sort of make him think a bit differently about just mucking about in a big online world. Because no, it's you punching that pregnant lady.
Damn right it is.
As opposed to some random sociopath who you just happen to be behind the reins of.
Another cool things of character creations is the fact that, for instance, you can create yourself, then your friends, and then go outside wrecking havoc.
Yeah.
Or,
or
I
beat
can
each
think
other
of-
up in
And
like
you
wrestling.
can also,
exactly.
yeah, and of course
I can also
you're
think of-
doing this with your friend who you can punch to your heart's content and not feel too bad about it.
Well, hang on.
Sounds
hang on.
like-
you can do that.
Pretty
in
sure
real
that's what you just said about your friend.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. You
Tell-
can
tell
do
them,
it in real
what you
life.
really want to
but
tell
the
them.
way you don't get arrested.
Yeah,
okay.
like I completely agree. I think the game that really like I love creating things that I can like level creators and stuff like that. I'm not good at. I wish I could, but I don't have the patience. But
Yeah.
the game
We'll
that
get into
really
that.
got me into creating was like wrestling games back in the day, from like
yes.
No Roll, SmackDown, all that.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
think
of
they
course,
do it.
'cause
I
if
honestly
there's
think they
one
do it the
thing you
best.
want to see yourself doing is grappling a bunch of
naked, sweaty men.
naked,
Yes.
sweaty men.
Have you ever heard
That's
that?
don't
just
have
the
to
one
be
thing in life
naked.
you want to see yourself doing.
Have you ever heard the creative wrestler leagues, where people basically create an entire roster of characters and then do AI versus AI matches with like as if it was a fake wrestling league and then they broadcast it. There was
never
yeah,
seen that.
yep, I have done that. Totally
I
guilty
wanted-
of that.
I wanted to do it as well at a certain point because it's kind of a guilty pleasure, really.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I never got to it. But there
it's,
was
it's fucking time intensive to do that.
Twitch
Yes,
plays
yes.
WWE, where every single character is made by a different stream of
Oh,
people
boy.
streaming WWE, and they'd create a massive tournament where every single one playing was a different Twitch stream with a bunch of people messing about with the controls. You just
Wow.
get like several matches of people just running around in circles doing nothing.
Well, and now, like in like 2K, now you can like download the app on your phone and you can face scan yourself, and you'll move
Yeah,
your
I'm not gonna
phone
do
like off
that.
your
I
front-facing
get the
camera.
feeling that- I get the feeling that that's not good enough to do anything that isn't insulting to the person. You'll just get people scanning their face in. It's like,
Is my nose really
fuck
that
you,
big?
dude. I don't do anything like that.
Actually, okay, I want to talk about something with character creation really fast. We got about 6 minutes on this topic.
Saints Row?
What do you? Well, no, I was gonna say, what do you think about games where you try to create a version of you, but it looks like you're either like crossbred with a burn victim or like a chihuahua?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Saints Row.
So yeah, Saints Row. I should have
Demon.
just said Saints Row.
To actually,
I never tried to create people that looked just like me, but rather cooler versions of myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
okay,
I mean,
The problem,
it's sort of difficult. You don't really get the option to do this sort of weird combination of skinny and fat that I am. It's just sort of you're either like fucking Fat Albert, a heroin user, or The Rock. It's very difficult to get like a happy medium.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the game that you're playing. Again, coming back to wrestling, because they have the scale, it's all right. But most games, you're absolutely right. They don't have a good mixture of, I'm not fat, but I'm not skinny. I'm not muscular,
Yeah.
but I'm also like not, a twig.
Like a middle ground.
The problem that I have
you don't
is,
get it. I think the
Yeah.
problem is that it's a sort of weird balance between usability and freedom. And I think a lot of games sort of either piss off one thing or the other, where like if it's too basic, more people will play it, but then the more creative crowd will be like, this is bullshit, I can't create my exact replica of Nigel Thornberry that I want to make.
smashing.
They'll just fuck off.
Marianne.
But then if you make a level editor or a character editor that you can use, that you can create what he wants to create, everyone else is going to get way too confused and have no idea what they're doing, and they're just going to the only thing they're going to be creating is some sort of monstrosity, unless of course they hit the shuffle button until they're happy.
Yeah.
The
Of course,
problem
you've got,
I have
like,
with character
the
creation
Sims,
is,
which is entirely based on
The Sims
this
is
idea of
wonderful. I have
character
nothing
creation.
bad to say about The Sims.
Yeah, the Sims they're golden. You can create pretty much
Yeah,
anything with that.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I've never had a problem with The Sims.
Another aspect of character creation, which we haven't really talked about yet, is like the more RPG character creation, where a lot of games today don't do this anymore, where the game really changes based on what you actually create, what kind of character you do.
So,
I remember back in the day, there were a lot of RPGs that, for example, if you set your intelligence too low, your character can't even speak correctly. And others will react accordingly. For example, your character was talking like, "Oh yeah, me smashy, what I do," and others would react to that.
Fallout games.
Yeah, the Fallout 4, for example, was one of the worst in that sense for me, because
they definitely
whatever character I created, it was completely the same game. It's just your playstyle changed, but not the game itself.
Yeah,
that's kind of sad. Because that is what character creation is for, in my opinion. That you can create a unique character in a world, and the world reacts to you differently.
So you're talking about like Fable and like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that streamlining down games that do have the focus on creativity and freedom as opposed to usability is really the idea, as really all you're doing is pissing off the people who like the sort of freedom that they got and didn't really care about the usability, and the people who would care about the usability, all they hear are the pissed off freedom to create folks, and they just they won't buy it because the game's already gotten a bad rap, even though it's more their sort of thing. It just doesn't seem like a good move at all.
I think the personal problem I have
games
with
you said about RPG ones where characters interact, but they've got like Skyrim, which has the entire character creator, and of course same game every time because I just choose one character and do everything. But I've got a few friends that specifically make mage specific, only do mage stuff with that, and then create an entirely new character that is for only soldier stuff and does all the soldiering quests and really gets into it that way. That's a bit different.
But you're creating the reaction in the world by yourself. It's not the world reacting differently to you. Because if you play Skyrim, no matter if you're the Archmage of the Mages Guild or the best warrior in the country, there's still characters who will react the same to you as if you were like a poor beggar or something.
Yeah.
For me, Skyrim was never really an RPG. It was a giant, beautiful sandbox, but not the RPG that I was hoping to get. I mean, if you want to have like a cool RPG where people react to you based on your character, I think Vampire the Masquerade was really good at that. Because you choose your vampire based on like 10 clans and everyone is slightly different, the way you play through the game and the way people react.
That does it quite well is that I've played that I can remember is Mass Effect.
I don't know. I've never...
Mass Effect is also good, yeah. Mass Effect does it as well. But yeah, it's
like
really that.
When you're Paragon and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because in Skyrim and Fallout, you create the world by yourself. It's the way you play that changes the world. It's not the world around you that changes based on what you created.
The problem that I do have with character creation is I've never had the right skin tone in any character creation game.
Yeah,
it's just not right. It's hard for me to get the right skin tone because, like, I'll be in the character creation. I'm like, yeah, it's not too brown, it's not too light, it's not too dark. Cool, that's fine. And then when I get in the actual game, it comes out looking a lot lighter, and I'm just like, that's not the color I picked. That's not what I want. Or you end up looking like. Yeah, or you have a weird orange tinge, and it's like, no, I didn't get a tan at a fake salon, so that what, and you just don't get it, and hair, I don't know, you just don't get the right hair.
You don't get. There is never enough choice for hair. I've never seen being able. I've never seen like a create a character type thing where the hair is exactly, the same as mine.
And then you do find one, and then in 10 minutes of actually playing the game, you get a helmet on, and then all your hair doesn't even show up.
Yeah, typical
That's sort of what
Skyrim.
happened to me in Mass Effect, but like...
Yeah,
Go on.
it gets even more difficult trying to create a character that looks like you when there are separate races. So not only are you having to go, all right, what kind of jaw width do I have? But also, what kind of jaw width would I have if I was a lizard? It's very confusing.
These are the difficult questions in life.
Yeah.
Soul Calibur has good character customization. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Soul Calibur
that is
4,
true.
sorry.
I was in awe.
Wait, no, 4-3. Both of them.
I created a lot of characters in Soul Calibur. That was really satisfying.
I had my own in-game like lore for my story characters, like just because I created that many.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I have to admit, I did spend quite a lot of time when I was a kid, in the Tiger Woods PGA Tour character creator, just creating what I think was a human potato with a mohawk Hawaiian shirt and a really, really deep voice. So you get this weird sort of punk potato dwarf just playing golf, and the voice was really weird as well. It was so deep. And you can see this tiny man with his potato face swing and go, "Oh god damn, I missed." It was so bizarre, but I loved it.
All right, so that's going to be the end of character creation for now. So good or high quality graphics. So tons of developers have been pushing the ideas of eye melting graphics as the main selling point, whether it be extensive engines that have been messed with all the time for the prospect of getting CGI trailers that look really good with rendered in-game footage. It can't be denied that it's been a huge selling point of games.
Yeah, just don't do a colonial marines kind of thing, and we're all good.
Oh yeah, and people still are
definitely
excited for Gears.
yeah, that's just false advertising.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, thing was, I don't think that was just graphics that they were lying about there. There was like
The AI
Everything.
and
stuff.
It was the total package, of course, but the graphics
total
stuck out
package.
to the most people.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I do get why, you'd want good graphics in certain games. I mean, obviously, there are plenty of games where it's not necessary. And, of course, graphics tend to age weirdly anyway, quite
like
quickly.
milk.
Yeah, like milk. Of course, there's nothing that I like quite as much as going back to a 2002 game and seeing that it's turned into a large block of cheese.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to admit, it is really weird going back to games I played when I was younger on the PS2 or something and going, wow, I could have sworn this guy used to have a face, and it's really just a triangle or a square.
Yeah, like the first Metal Gear Solid. If you spent a long time playing
exactly.
the newer titles and then you go back. I mean, the most jarring thing was in Metal Gear Solid 2, where you could switch out the character models in cutscenes, and you can put in the Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake. Holy hell!
That must have looked weird.
He looks like
That was
Brock
fun.
the whole time.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely tricky because like I completely agree. It depends on the game that you've got. You've got games that have crisp graphics, like take Cuphead. The graphics aren't that great. I mean, like look at the type of game, but it's also depending on the art style that you're using. Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, that game, the graphics aren't that amazing. It looks like it came out on the 360. To be perfectly honest.
I would
What?
say Cuphead has great graphics, but then that's mostly due to the
style
art
around it.
style.
Yeah, it's a simple art
It's
style,
more the
but beautifully
art style
done.
than the graphics that are done. Like you've got King of Fighters 14 or 15, can't remember which one it is. Those graphics they came on the PS2, but the gameplay is good. But then you've got Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Those graphics are pretty good. It looks like how they're meant to. And you've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is all sprites, but it looks good because it's based on comic books and so on. But Resident Evil 4, when they did an HD remake, looked terrible in relation because the graphics were too crisp. You could tell where the fog ended and began, whereas in the PS2, or the GameCube rather, you couldn't really tell because the graphics weren't up to date as much as you could. So that fog looked foggy. It worked at that time.
Yeah, sometimes graphics can be too good for its own sake. For example, in the first Watch Dogs, that was a big problem. The game looked fine, but because the PlayStation didn't have too much power back then, they had to limit your view the view distance. So everything looked great for about 15 meters, and then there was this wall of fog, basically. And
the
that
draw
is
distance
just
was terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
As somebody who's been to Chicago, that's pretty accurate sometimes.
Okay, I cannot judge that, but you know.
You go there and you're like, is that fog, smog, or is that just like somebody like burning a building down?
Well, you know, that's where the joke came from. Why does the console peasant cross the road to render the building on the other side?
It's fair on some games.
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that the problem is that we're still not, I think we're just sort of starting to dip into the other side of the uncanny valley as far as graphics goes. We're sort of still climbing out the other side.
Probably.
You could also
currently
have, you could also sorry, go on.
Yeah, I've never seen a David Cage game where someone smiling didn't actually look like they were smiling. I mean, if you smile in a David Cage game, you don't look happy. You look like your dick's been caught in a mousetrap. It's so unnatural. It is just.
It looks like It looks like you shit yourself and you're trying to pretend you haven't.
Yeah,
like.
Or what about
I like
this?
Mario's faces also.
Art style over graphics. Which one do you say is more important?
I would say art style.
Yeah, choosing the correct art style. You would never play, for example, a Naruto game in a realistic-looking graphic style. That just wouldn't work. Because in anime,
that depends. See, the thing with that, if you've got a Naruto game that have lifelike graphics, say they did it like it was... I can't even think of a game that has amazing graphics, but like one of those games where it's like, oh shit, this looks super real. You can, like, if you draw a picture that looks like that, people like it. If you have a game that looks good and plays how it looks with realistic graphics for like Naruto, Bleach, and all the anime, you can get that done quite well. I'd prefer it as a cell shading game because I prefer that look when it comes to anime and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd still play the hell out of it if it had realistic graphics.
You could also have a game that has like the most realistic graphics ever and is like super amazing. But I mean, if the game itself, like if the story's crap and if it's, if it's just unbearable, I mean, good graphics is obviously a really good selling point. But I mean, as far as gameplay actually goes, like if you're like trying to like swing at someone and they don't even get affected at all, like it's just not going to be good for the actual game itself. Like I said, like you could have a game that has crap graphics, but if the gameplay on it, if the story's amazing and everything, I'm still going to play it.
Yeah, I have to
put it this way, like Mario
there
back
are
in the day,
certain games that shouldn't have bad graphics or stylized graphics or whatever. There are definitely games out there that I think should be, it would do them a disservice to not be realistic looking.
Yeah, true.
Sure.
True.
Yeah. So I mean, The Witcher 3, if that had like if that was really cartoony, that would just not be right. You do not want to have Geralt of Riviera looking like a Disney character or something.
So we can say that graphics should go along with the gameplay and not.
I don't think that the gameplay is necessarily what
it should suit the game.
It should enhance
suit the
your
game.
experience.
Yeah.
Should suit the game as a whole. Yeah.
Like
The art style should help with the graphics. The graphics should help with the art style, but the most core important part of this is the game suited the art style that they're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the game that I thought was just like, oh my god, graphics at the time was just Battlefield 1 when it came out. And I was that was just beautiful. But I would never want to see that one on Well, I would never want to see that like on cartoony. But on the opposite side of the coin, if you take any Telltale
Fortress.
game series,
I was just about to bring that up.
want to see like realistic big game graphics on a Telltale game, and yeah, it's the art style is probably definitely in that case more important, and I guess the game style really does dictate what kind of graphics.
Yeah, I think it worked for the Walking Dead game because
It comes from a
the
comic.
the art style was based on the comic that it came from. I definitely don't think that it worked with the Game of Thrones one, because that just had you had the characters.
Novels.
Yeah, I mean, you had the characters from the actual Game of Thrones show, like Tyrion, whatever. They look completely different to sort of like the characters you were playing as, because they just look like Telltale characters, and you'd have that next to Peter Dinklage, and it would just be sort of like he was carrying around a really weird sex doll or something. It didn't look as much of a person as Peter Dinklage. It looked like a weird pet.
Yeah,
It just
I'll
wasn't
give you
right.
that one.
Yeah, I mean, although to be fair, I haven't really played the most of the Walking Dead Telltale game.
Oh no, the Telltale games I've pretty much played all bar Borderlands and the new ones that they just released, and the graphic style is the same in all of them. And you're absolutely right. Some of them, Tyrion to me looked alright, Jon Snow looked alright, but I do agree it is a bit weird.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's the way they sort of tried to sort of convert the actors into sort of their style, but they didn't sort of do the same thing with the characters that they made especially for the game.
Yeah,
and I think that sort of left the it left the new characters with the problem that they look less like people than the ones from the show.
Right.
See, just as a last kind of thing, not just graphics in a way, but how about things like the how your character interacts with the world? For example, if they go into water, do they look wet?
Yeah,
like
I like
Uncharted.
like
When Uncharted
have gotten a lot better
that
at
was
that.
fantastic.
I'd say
I think-
GTA 5 did it a bit better, where it stays on there longer than it does on Uncharted. Like your character drives out pretty
games
fast.
have steadily gotten better about that, but I think a lot of games avoid weather as much as they can because it's actually quite a hard thing to implement consistently. It's always
and avoid frame rate
context-based.
dips and stuff. And...
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going on to one that we talked about before we started recording. Smell-o-vision. Now, this is the concept of...
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I had never realised that this was
Scratch and sniff.
Yeah, like
outside of scratch and sniff, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I think
you have a smell that comes through whenever something happens. Most recent notable application, before something I'm going to talk about in a minute here, was an episode of, I think it was My Name is Earl, where you had like a little scratch off card and certain scents connected to certain things that happened. Stuff like that.
So this makes me think of one thing. So when you're playing Scarface, you got to snort cocaine.
Yes.
That would get expensive for them very quickly.
That'd be a hell of a lot of cash. But
That's an X-rated game if ever I heard one.
Right.
I'm getting to that.
You just get a feature where instead of actually buying illegal drugs, people would just buy the smell-o-vision to smell
press
them.
an app and
drug DLC.
They put it like in the game manual when you go to buy the game. It's just like a little packet, a little baggie in there
Selling
Little sack.
DLC.
to get the full effect of the game.
Can you imagine DLC on this
Try
with
this
that?
crack. Only $5.99.
Some cocaine. Well, no, smell-o-vision is seemingly coming back thanks to a adult streaming site named Cam Soda, which has a product called the Oroma, OHROMA.
That's special.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Please God, no.
You can get stuff like body odor or fragrance.
Yeah, I know. I do not get this at all. Out of all the things that you know, from having sex that you'd want to simulate when you're not,
Body
I think
odor?
that smell would probably be the last thing. Oh, for God's sake!
Well, okay, I suppose.
So why would you do that? No one
How
would do that.
direction are you for wearing that?
Well, hang on. If we're gonna put this on video, this should be on video right here. But yeah, there's a picture of a mask with a phone-mounted little camera.
It reminds me of that
VR
College
concept.
Humor sketch about masturbating in the future, where this mum walks in and he's sort of got this weird ring around him, and loads of different screens, and the robot hand jerk him off.
I just wanted to say,
I cannot imagine someone walking in on you wearing that whilst you had an erection.
Yeah,
How
I mean
the hell would you
that was
explain that? It'd
that was the
just be like,
thing.
yeah, I have a fetish for weird cyborgs.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago there was a lot of
There's a
comic
fetish for
strips
gas
like detailing how the future would be with virtual reality, and it was all these like people lonely in a room with goggles and like these masks on, and we were laughing at that shit. And now
Well, I mean,
I'm
now
looking
it's
at this image, and I have to say, yeah, it's kind of real, isn't it?
Yeah, and that guy had a VR wedding with an anime girl.
Oh God, no!
Yeah, someone did that.
Why?
Someone did that.
Hey, are we talking about VR chat already? What?
No, not really.
I was gonna say,
Do
yeah,
you
well, that
know
is
the way?
later on, but
You know, the basic concept of smelling things could be very interesting especially in horror games. I think that could be super effective.
You can
Yeah,
like
sure.
like
Look
you
at
smell the
this dead
zombies.
body. I'm so glad
Yeah,
I
the
can smell him.
zombies or sulfur when a demon materializes behind you
Why
or
would
something
you
like
want
that.
to smell a zombie that's
Yeah.
a rotting corpse?
Okay,
That's
hang
the
on.
other. That's the flip side. Just
Or the
imagine.
smell of you shitting yourself.
No,
yeah, exactly.
Just imagine you're being like the brave hero in Skyrim. You enter the Draugr tomb and you have to puke because it smells like shit in.
Why
That's
would
just
you want that?
not cool, isn't it?
Then
So-
you're gonna ruin your smell-o-vision thing because you're gonna have throw up all over it.
Oh no, I got puking by smelling that.
yeah, I
there-
think
there's some people
it's.
that are actually into that, though. That's the thing.
Oh God, no.
I puked
Yeah,
in
now
real
you're
life
just
because
bringing
my
it back to the
character
whole
is shit in the
sex
game.
thing, and no, please stop. I do not want to imagine whoever's wearing that being aroused.
Oh please, people are aroused when they're playing VR. Come on.
It's just, can you imagine someone wearing that whilst they had sex?
Yes, I could. Actually.
Sadly,
I don't know why
yes.
you'd want to.
If you go to the
It's
dark side of the
2018.
internet, there's a lot of things.
I mean,
Anything's possible.
yeah. I mean, if you were going to have a sex robot, you'd think you'd give it a face.
Gimps. So, you know, they're a thing.
Yeah, true. That'd be the weirdest gimp mask I'd ever see.
I've got a couple more minutes on this. Do you guys want to keep a smell-o-vision for a little bit?
No, I want to forget about it entirely.
Yeah, let's not.
Well, no, there
I'm
is-
more curious about the next
there is-
topic, to be honest.
There's something that came up to my mind actually. I hope you don't mind if I step in.
No, go right ahead.
In theme parks, they do this thing that they call like 4D cinemas or 5D cinemas.
Oh, 40X.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
where they have like now I don't recall
Moving
air
chairs.
and water, and then they had something like they have some small cables slapping your legs around. So I guess that could be the next dimension of immersive playing when you like encounter in VR when you encounter the monster face to face. It like roars in front of you, and you feel the hot hair coming in your face, maybe even smelly, since we were talking about other vision. And
You can feel the
it's
monster
still
coming.
something that may be the most gimmicky thing ever, but who knows? Maybe in the future we could see. We could
For
see.
in-home gaming,
I do
that's
not
going to
want
be
to
way
do
down the
that.
line.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But for arcades, for instance,
Yeah, it's that
Hmm.
sort of like the Matrix level thing where no one will ever complain about a video game again. You'll just be in the Matrix, killing
Yeah.
monsters,
You must believe.
living in caves. It'll be a fucking miserable existence,
Living
but
in
it'll
caves.
be the most immersive thing ever. Well, I mean, yeah, because that's what characters do. I mean, can you imagine being so immersed in Dark Souls you actually thought you were sleeping at a bonfire? You'd be bloody miserable. It'd be uncomfortable as shit.
Yeah, but you're being
How
plugged into the
immersed do you want
Matrix
to
and
have to get?
everything, and the first thing you're thinking is, man, I can't wait to sleep in this cave.
Yeah, I know. Or like you're playing GTA or something and you
get
fall
shot
off a cliff. I mean, how immersive do you want your game to be? You just have a guy standing next to you the entire time, where if you like fall off a cliff or something, he'll come over and break your arm for you.
just enough where I know I won't die in real life.
Yeah.
You die in the game, you die for real.
It's real, man.
Yeah, you just because I mean, let's face it. If you are actually if you think about the game character that you're playing as, they're having a pretty miserable time of it. I mean, they're constantly exhausted because you're running everywhere. You're getting hit by things. You're having to sleep outside.
That's only if you're crap.
You're having to get good. Get good. Your player character deserves it.
Step it up, boy.
Yeah, like
Boy.
they actually give the guy you play as an AI, so every time you mistreat him, he starts complaining. It's like, dude, why are we sleeping out here again? Why can't we just go to an inn? Come on, just because they cost like 500 gold, please. It's freezing out here. I can't.
Imagine in GTA 5 you're doing this and how expensive those houses are in comparison to what you make. You'd be on the street for ages.
Unless you buy the new loot box.
Yeah.
Buy a shark card. Don't be homeless.
Then it's valid.
Yeah. All right. To the next topic. Let's talk about online passes. Now, last gen we had sort of basically a way for them to avoid missing out on used sales, which was a $10 little passes inside with new copies, and if you knew how to cheat the system like some people here did, you would go to like a movie gallery or something and get the little online pass from there, because they always left it inside the box. Not saying I ever did that.
I wouldn't pay for it.
I did that.
Some games like Bad Company, was Bad Company 2 or was it Battlefield 3? Some games would have a little card on the inside to access online, instead of you avoiding the loss of pre-order money they were assuming. So somebody would go to, like, pre-owned money, I should say. So if you went to go get a pre-owned copy of the game, chances are if that code was even still in there, it wouldn't work. Yeah, okay, so
you're paying for the multiplayer separately, but if you bought the game new, it would have a code that you could get the multiplayer for free from.
Okay.
So you were only
that online pass.
So you were only having,
not season pass.
No.
So like,
never mind what I just said.
For it if you bought it second-handed.
Yes.
Right. So it was sort of like supposed to battle pre-owned games, like GameStop and whatnot.
GameStop, whatever the hell they have in Australia.
I'm going to make this quick and short now that I understand, because I made a mistake. Online passes suck ass. Yeah. Especially if I'm on the Xbox, so I was paying for gold subscription. Why am I going to buy a game, then have to pay to play it online, when I already have a gold subscription to play a game online?
Well, I mean, so how was this? Was it like
they would lock you out unless you spent not only $10 on average. Later on, a lot of the companies just said fuck it and just dropped the price entirely. So you still had to download the thing, but it was free.
Basically,
I think EA did it for a couple games.
If you got it later on, have like fun playing on the single player. Basically, like, man, now that you brought this up, oh my god, I'm just haunted by the nightmare of buying these games pre-owned and then going to play online and then, oh, sorry, you gotta buy this online pass. Like, oh my god, it was so irritating.
I think a few of the wrestling games did that as well.
Yeah, from the sound of it, it just sounds like it was always implemented really badly. Because I can imagine it, you know, even at its best, it would have been a bit of a faff.
You did get the pass for free if you got a new copy. Like, if you hadn't. surprisingly, the first game to ever do this, according to Wikipedia, which I know Wikipedia, but was SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs Fireteam Bravo 3 for PlayStation Portable, which required use of a one-time voucher and its retail copies to access multiplayer modes, charging $20 for replacements.
That's just crazy.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, we all remember that game. SOCOM Navy SEAL Ultra Alpha, whatever.
Fireteam Bravo. No, SOCOM games were good.
Right.
SOCOM games were good.
Well, the classic.
The classic.
But yeah,
SOCOM
Mass
Ultra
Effect 2,
Navy SEAL Fireteam Bravo.
Mass Effect 2 had one for bonus content from the Cerberus Network stuff. Dragon Age Origins had one for its first DLC, which was, admittedly, was neat that the big DLC was free with that, but still, it was kind of fucky. And then beginning with Tiger Woods PGA Tour 10. Ooh, that's a hot seller.
That's what you want. Yes.
All feature EA Sports titles from that time would require an online pass for multiplayer.
Yeah, it was stupid.
EA removed them. Ubisoft did Black Flag, which had it, eventually went free. A bunch of the other games went free. Sony apparently does forbid. Sony and PlayStation, I believe, do forbid it. So
Black Flag's multiplayer is actually really good.
Black Flag is a great game. I love that one.
Yeah. It's the best Assassin's Creed game because it spends the most amount of time not being an Assassin's Creed game.
You know, that's what I've heard about Origin also, and that's what kind of intrigues me.
Well, what I've seen about Origin...
topic.
I've seen about Origin is that it has a lot of the numbers game, where it's sort of like...
You're grinding out.
Yeah, you're grinding out higher and higher numbers, and there's always this thing on the side saying, hey, you can buy bigger numbers. Do you want to do that?
Well, from what I heard, it's mostly just like, it's not really microtransactions, so you can get all the shit pretty easily without microtransactions. But we're getting off topic.
Can we touch on season passes now that we're talking about online passes? Because it's not. I looked and it's not on here, and I think that's quite important for Gimmicks.
Yeah, it is. I think it's number 14.
Actually, number 14, I believe, is multiple.
Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Yep. Okay, cool. No worries. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself.
We'll tell you what. We'll do it in between 13 and 14. How about that?
Yeah, that works.
Cool.
Okay. Anybody else got anything to say with online passes? Cause I just got a couple things, and we'll be out of this one.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate it.
It's not really. I mean, you know, if it's implemented properly, it's nothing more than a faff for us. It's not really something that's built with us in mind. It's sort of like something to get back at GameStop, get rid of them, because it's not. Well, I suppose it's annoying if you're buying the pre-owned games, but I suppose you know.
Yeah, but how is it ever going to be implemented properly? Right now, for PlayStation and Xbox One, you're paying to have multiplayer. How would then having to pay an extra 5, 10, 20, whatever the amount is, be valid in any way, shape, or form for the consumer?
Well, so if you got it for free, if you bought the game new.
Well, I was.
But you're already paying to play online.
Okay, hang on. I actually have a good retort for this one. I would say one of Dragon Age Origins, where you got the first big DLC for free. I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, get some, something that people who buy new get a major expansion for the game, which Stone Prisoner was really good if you ever played Dragon Age Origins. But you get a whole big amount of content for free for just buying it new. I think that's smart. If it doesn't feel like you're actually gypping people who buy the new game later, that makes sense.
I think because you're right, I completely agree with that. But if you don't have a gold subscription, or what's it called on PlayStation? PlayStation Plus?
PlayStation Plus, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have those and you only want to play a certain game online, that's fair enough. But the majority of people already have a gold subscription in general. So to then charge some you have to do this, if it's an option to say, I want to play this game and this game only, cool, I'm fine with that. So Dragon Age did it just fine. It's an option.
I'm genuinely surprised neither PlayStation nor Xbox has that kind of subscription service yet, where it's like, hey, I just want to play this one game online. I don't give a shit about anything else. That's for another day. But we got more we got to go on here. So, everybody ready?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, power fantasy games, which basically you're an overpowered fucking god of a character who, admittedly, you're weak to some things, but you just can go crazy. Like Prototype, Spider-Man 2, Infamous 2, Incredible Hulk, Ultimate Destruction, stuff like that. Like insane games.
Again, is this really a gimmick? It sounds more like a subgenre.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that as
a gimmick.
I would say some aspects of it are gimmicks. Like,
I think it's the presentation.
I can think of Saints Row 4, for instance. In there, you have superpowers, etc., but it is not a superhero game, but it's an action shooter, I guess.
Yeah.
Of the best.
I mean, it's basically a superhero game. I mean,
technically
really look at it, it's a superhero.
So what about
game.
like Crackdown?
Yeah,
you could say the same thing.
I suppose the way I see it, there are like different types of gimmicks. So you get the mechanical gimmick, which I suppose this is sort of
powers.
It's sort of like something added into the game, that's sort of you're taking a big leap from previous games, or it's something different, or it's just sort of like a fad type thing. I suppose that's technically kind of a gimmick, but I wouldn't really consider Power Fantasy games as a fad, because there's just they've sort of always been there.
I think it depends on the marketing itself of the game. Like you said, Spider-Man 2, I wouldn't call it a gimmick in that game because you're a superhero. You're meant to have certain obstacles, so on and so on. Unless you have a Superman game, you're not overpowered in general as a superhero. Unless you have crappy AI. Like the Spider-Man villains, because of Spider-Man as a character, he fights street level, so he's only fighting humans, give or take. But then you've got Batman, which is still a superhero game, but it's done in relation to what you need to have done. But games like Prototype, Infamous, then you can be considered overpowered.
I do think that the Arkham games played on a sort of gimmick of, what if you were Batman? It's sort of like, I'd consider
that's
that
not
more
a
of
gimmick.
a narrative.
That's just the story, though.
Yeah, I'd say it's sort of like a narrative gimmick, where it's something based off a what if.
But I wouldn't call that a gimmick. That becomes, this is what the game is. They made a game about Batman. It's not what if you're Batman. It's like, hey, let's have a superhero game. Your superhero is Batman. It's like if you have a Flash game, it's going to be you going fast.
I know, but I would say that it's technically a gimmick in a narrative sense. It's sort of like the sort of in space sort of games and movies that you get, where it's sort of like Mario in space, and then you get.
But then that's a gimmick, no? If you have,
I would say that is a gimmick. It's sort of like, what if Mario was in space, or what if Jason Voorhees was in space for whatever fucking reason?
They did that, and
exists.
it was hilariously terrible.
That movie exists.
Hang on. That wasn't a bad movie, though. That was not a bad movie.
No, it was fun.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't. It's not a bad thing, but I would definitely call it a gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, and I would also technically class up to a point the idea of playing as Batman, because it was like a major marketing point for the Arkham games. I would consider that a narrative gimmick.
If you've got, so say, take away Batman as a character that Bruce Wayne, all that jazz, blah, 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 and you have a completely separate game, but you do the same thing, you fight and so on, then you've taken away that Batman aspect. You become this just badass person. Like you become like a 007 character. That's fair enough. But for Batman in that case, for his character, that's who he is as a superhero. So I think the gimmick there isn't so much the power fantasy. It becomes the superhero genre of video games, which is slightly different because they're based on something. That arc is where the hook for that is the fact it's a superhero. Whereas games like Prototype, their gimmick is that you are super powered, and that's what they do in those games. But superheroes are I think they come under their own subgenre of power fantasy, because in Spider-Man, you are OP.
Yeah, I suppose it really does depend on whether like what you define a gimmick as. Because I suppose each of us have probably got different definitions for what a gimmick is. I mean, if you ask me, I wouldn't consider DLC or microtransactions or loot boxes or anything like that gimmicks, because I would see a gimmick as more
Marketing
of a selling
practices.
point. Yeah, as a selling point, as something, you know, someone would see as like, oh, look, this game, you're Batman, or oh, look, this game, you can punch Hillary Clinton in the face. You know, it's
Whoa!
That exists too, doesn't
yeah,
it? So wait,
Yeah.
just to get back on topic, would you consider the Dynasty Warriors series a power fantasy game? Because there you mow down millions of dudes with one guy.
Yeah,
Right?
I
would
consider
definitely put that down as a
game.
power fantasy.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of games we could kind of consider like power fantasies.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if Spider-Man 2 was necessarily a power fantasy game, because it was more about the web swinging as opposed to anything else.
It's a web swinging fantasy game.
Yeah, I know. And you see, the thing with that was the whole being Spider-Man, or, you know, in the Arkham games case, being the Batman. I would say that's more of a gimmick compared to, say, the newer Spider-Man games like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or the older Batman games like Batman Dark Tomorrow. They didn't necessarily have the same sort of gimmick because it wasn't as Batman-y or Spider-Man-y. Like, you know, with the pretty much every Spider-Man
I think those are
game
due to when the
after-
games came out and the market that they were in at that time, rather
Well,
than
yeah, I know, but like the
gimmick.
games with about Spider-Man after Spider-Man 2 game for PS2 and GameCube and whatever, the web swinging was never quite right. And as a result, nobody gave a shit anymore. Like the web swinging was what gave it to be be Spider-Man gimmick, because it was as if you were Spider-Man swinging around New York. Whereas the other
Isn't
ones
that
didn't
like
get
any
it right.
game any game, if it's like be this person, isn't that literally any game though?
Well,
And that comes under character creation.
I suppose in a way, if it's licensed, if it's like an original character like God of War, you're not really sort of. I wouldn't say the specific gimmick is being Kratos, because at first you had no idea who he was. You weren't buying the game because you wanted to be this white dude who went around shirtless all the time and looking angry. You were in the game to kill gods.
Go to Georgia and you're good.
Yeah, you weren't doing it to play as Kratos. You were doing it to kill gods. That was the gimmick, the narrative gimmick for that game.
Well, now you're doing it to be a father. Yeah. All right, so we're switching to the next topic: level editors.
Yes.
Tons of games have had them. In fact, a really great recent game, Doom 2016. Yeah, holy shit. Doom 2016.
Never really noticed people caring about that.
But we're talking
you're playing
about
the wrong games.
Yeah.
Playing the
talking
wrong
about,
games if you haven't noticed.
editors that are
like.
okay.
Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah. Well, you guys all kind of jumped on me first here. So there's a ton of great games that have had level editors. Doom, the Halo franchise after 3.
Yeah.
Even Grand Theft Auto has its own level editor for like races and stuff. So it's been in a lot of games. User-generated content has been implemented in various different successful and unsuccessful ways.
Something that I noticed is that the user-generated content tends to increase the lifespan of a game a lot, especially if the tools available are powerful, I guess. I can think of the original Doom that, despite being more than 20 years old, it's still being played and it's still being modded. If you
like
go
wads everywhere,
because it's free content. It's content content that you don't have to pay for, and of course that adds to the life of the game because there's more stuff to do in it. But
we also forgot about one major thing, and that's that Dota was actually originally a level editor. It was in Warcraft 3.
Warcraft 3,
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that the way to go with level editors is make it powerful enough to make new game modes, make new ways to play. Because you know, with Forge on Halo, you had stuff like Duck Hunt, where it was you'd get a bunch of people sort of flying, using like one of those man cannons, and you'd have to have people on platform far away try and shoot them. And you'd win or lose based on that. Because I think with the level editor, you can have new content, but it only goes so far as the rest of the game does. Like, if you have just a boring level editor which allows you to make maps and stuff, you're still only going to be interested in the game for as long as it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, the Warcraft 3 level editor was one hell of a tool. There's so much game modes that came out of Warcraft 3 maps.
And StarCraft, too.
StarCraft the same, yeah. I mean, all the MOBA-style games, they might not be around if it wasn't for Dota. And also tower defense was also a thing that was very much popularized in Warcraft.
Yeah,
so yeah, if it can spawn entire genres of games.
Yeah, and also battle royales. That was
exactly.
Pretty much came from game modes built by a level editor.
Yeah, if they're powerful enough, but they have to be accessible, because the Warcraft 3 editor is kind of accessible even if you don't really know what you're doing. But for example, Age of Empires 2 level editor, that was a bitch to get into, my god. And you had not nearly enough tools to make something.
Yeah,
so you really have to have a good editor.
Yeah, you do have to have a certain amount of usability. Like, you don't want to know how to develop an entire bloody game just to make the map.
Indeed,
yeah. I know that Human Fall Flat, instead of allowing an editor, they pretty much just made all the assets, available in Unity for them to like make maps and stuff. I think. So they're that what they're doing is coding new maps as opposed to using a level editor.
But my big experience of this genre has got to be, our gimmick has got to be spending a ton of time on Little Big Planet.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
A game based on level editing. It was just beautiful.
I've never owned a PS3 or 4, so I never played Little Big Planet.
It's a fun game in itself with the characters you can create, sort of create, and the levels. Like I said when we were talking about character creation, I've never been good at it because I have a very short attention span.
Yeah.
But you can do amazing stuff in Little Big Planet, and I think games like Trials as well are quite good, and Halo, the levels you could create. But I completely agree with you. When it comes to games like Halo and stuff like that, it's all about is the game so fun.
Time on Halo on my brother's Xbox.
There aren't a lot of games that rival Halo when it comes to the level editor, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for years there were like entire communities that would be based around a single game mode that was created by it. And then...
There are a ton of things like Griffball alone was very popular.
I love Griffball. Love that.
There are some modes which one of them is titled Smear Queer, which get played still non-stop in Halo 3, and it's impressive because the things they did with Halo 3's editor, which is not very the editor doesn't have a lot of things in it, but they've done impressive things.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, I'm surprised that no one's even mentioned Gary's mod.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Gary's mod was
how the hell has no one mentioned that? Because it's literally level editor the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
you right.
Thinking about it, all the stuff they did with that, it's impressive.
What about Project Spark? Because that was kind of based on when the Xbox first came out, and it's got some pretty good games on there.
Well, it's actually it died a little while ago.
Games on Gary's.
Yeah, I'll link you the article.
Like Trouble in Terrorist Town. That's
Prop Hunt and all that stuff.
Prop Hunt. Fucking
hide and seek and whatever.
Murder. I mean, there's just been so many game modes on that have been actually turned into games. Like I was actually just playing a game that was very obviously based on Trouble in Terrorist Town called Deceit. And it just seems like level editors, it's very difficult for them to be a bad thing.
Yeah. Hard
Because
to use, but I don't think they've ever been bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's more content for players. It's an opportunity to bring completely new life to a game. If the normal game modes like deathmatch or whatever are fucking boring as hell, and then you play a game where it's all about trying to make your way up the hill, but you've got a bunch of trucks driving at you.
What would you say if somebody would sell level editor as a DLC?
Nope.
It was done at some point, but I don't. I mean, I have something sitting in the back of my head about it.
Yeah, I would wonder what the reception would be of that.
I mean, did it way later?
I probably wouldn't buy it. I suppose it really depends. I mean, if you bought the level editor, would you still be able to play? If you didn't buy the level editor, would you still be able to play stuff that was made on it?
I suppose so, because otherwise you would divide your player base, which is never a good idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there was
honestly, I probably wouldn't. I was never really more of a level. I was never much of a level maker, so I probably wouldn't bother.
Well, I think it also
I wouldn't really have that much of a problem with it if it was made well after the game launched.
Well, it depends. I think also possibly on the age of the player, because I talk at least from personal experience. When I was, I think in the first years of elementary school, I had this game, that Lego Stunt Rally. I think you never heard about it, but if you did, props, that had a level editor in it, and then I discovered Trackmania, but I only had the demo. But when I got the full version of Trackmania, the one with 7 environments and all that kind of stuff, and I was already in high school, I just can't imagine what my elementary school self would have felt if he had discovered about it. He would probably have exploded, and I wouldn't be here talking about it, because there is so much stuff. And for children that have a mind so active and creative that can think of stuff in every second, think about giving them a tool this easy to use and so powerful. I think I went a bit off-road. But...
Go on?
No, don't worry. I was just saying a consideration about my terrible way of express things.
There was, I had Skate 2, and they had the replay editor thing where, because it was meant to be the magazine and videos and all that kind of stuff. And that was, you could edit everything that you did, all the recordings. But then in Skate 3, you had to pay for a video editor within that game. That is something I would like. Yeah. So it's it's free in the second one. It comes with the game. You don't have to download it. It's just in the game. But in then 3, you have to pay for an editor that was in your previous game. That, if they did that with level editors, I wouldn't like that. But like you said, if it was just a matter of you can download this level editor, but you don't have to. If you do, you have to pay for it. That's a wholly different subject, because it's not part of the game. It's not integral. It's just an option. And for people who want to create, then it's useful.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, and plus it's also good because it does, sort of it's a gateway to actually, developing games, technically. I mean, you get people who've, started off in level editors who've gone on to mod things, and then they'll just sort of actually just start making games as an actual sort of progression. And I think, how can that be a bad thing? More games.
Yep.
Yeah, it also builds an active community around a game, which is always a good thing to have.
Yeah, 'cause once you get an active community around stuff like that, it does sort of tend to police itself a lot better. When they actually, sort of give a shit about what they're doing, and it sort of ends up with a lot less sort of assholes just yelling.
I get that.
Yeah, you get a lot friendlier communities in, sort of more active, passionate communities that actually, like the game that they're playing enough to make stuff for it.
All right, so we're going to jump into the next topic, celebrities in gaming. So a whole bunch of popular rappers. 50 Cent has had 2 games. That's one being Blood on the Sand. Spoiled debutantes and popular Twitch streamers have popped up in a few video games, and we're going to talk about them.
Who cares about them, though?
Well, hang on. Well, there's some good actors and actresses in games. Samuel L. Jackson and San Andreas.
I would say that's a completely different thing. Because, I mean, there's the one thing about, having a game about 50 Cent, which I think is...
That's a gimmick.
Yeah, that's definitely...
the thing... Go ahead, I'll pop in later.
I would say it's a similar narrative gimmick along the lines of the Batman Arkham games of, what if you were Batman? What if you were 50 Cent? However... the only reason people would want to be 50 Cent is because he's got a lot of money. Now, you're not acting like, what if you were Batman? Oh, I'd probably just sort of go out partying. I don't know, maybe I'd give some money to charity. Be like, no, I'm going to dress up as a bat and beat people up.
Now, are we also... Are we talking...
What would you do with 50 Cent? He's like, go on tour, maybe? So they just make up a load of random shit about him.
Well, it's
I got this skull covered in diamonds. Oh wait, this warlord took it from me. I'm going to shoot him.
All right.
It's the reality TV of video games.
What's up? I mean, there's a whole bunch of really good actors. Seth Green, Mass Effect series. Martin Sheen was also in Mass Effect series. Samuel L. Jackson,
Kevin Spacey in World War and COD before
Advanced Warfare. And then just recently, Josh Duhamel was in. Kiefer Sutherland, who's also in GS5, was in World at War.
Well, I'm also thinking like Vin Diesel and Riddick.
Riddick.
Yes, that works very well.
The second best thing to come out of a Riddick franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't he Riddick because of the movie as opposed to an actor being in a game though?
But it's celebrities in gaming. It's not necessarily like
the
it's like, it's his voice and everything. But still, I mean, that's what I'm thinking of when I think of celebrities in gaming. Like, I'm not thinking about like Def Jam and everything. Like, I'm thinking about like.
I mean, Def Jam is pretty good for that. I mean, it has stacks.
Yeah.
But I think when I think of celebrities in gamings when they don't belong, as it were, like actors are fair enough. Like, that makes sense.
Well, hang on. What were you saying about Infinite Warfare?
Well, Kit Harington, he plays Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. He was the main bad guy, wasn't he?
Oh, he was, but he really didn't end up doing anything.
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem, because in a lot of these cases, they're getting the actor for the name as opposed to the performance.
Well, I would say, I mean, with like, I'm gonna use Kevin Spacey in Advanced Warfare. He actually did things in the plot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That was I think that was probably partly. I think that was definitely, the performance definitely had something to do with that. But like, say for instance, a lot of people hated getting rid of David Hayter and replacing him with Kiefer Sutherland. They just thought, they're doing it because he's famous.
There's also a plot.
I think that's more about getting rid of David Hayter as opposed to getting Kiefer. It's not David Hayter. Yeah. If anyone else did it, it's just like, no, I'm not happy. Like with Michael Ironside and Sam Fisher.
Yeah, and then
that was bullshit there.
Of course, I mean, it's not really a new thing. I suppose it's technically been a lot more recent having actors in as a big name to sort of sell something. I mean, you did have actors like in games that were, doing performances like Mark Hamill in Wing Commander and Tim Curry in Command and Conquer.
Yeah. But Mark Hamill is a voice actor.
And then like Gary Oldman in COD.
Yeah. And, Gary Oldman.
Yeah, he played Reznov.
So I was going to say
COD.
Yeah, he was in technically 3 games. If we want to be, if you want to be very vague about it.
And I tell you what, I had no idea that he was Reznov.
Oh no, I can spot Gary Oldman out of a crowd. I've got that sort of weird ESP, but he was great.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely not for the name because there was literally nothing about Reznov that said Gary Oldman to me.
Yeah, but
I would say the voice.
Yeah, but isn't that topic meant to say if there is something, as I think Shadow Pyro said, a celebrity in a game as an actual celebrity, even though normally you wouldn't expect them? Because I know 2 games that did that, and I enjoyed both of them. One was Gothic, the first one, in which one of my favorite metal bands, or folk metal bands, In Extremo, played one like an in-game concert which you could watch, which was kind of interesting. And the other one was Sacred 2. There was another power metal band in the game as characters, and you would have to do a quest for them. You would have to fetch their instruments, and once you have done that, you get like an in-game concert they would play a song they had written especially for the game. And these kind of things, I like these kind of small, like, even if it's just a small thing that doesn't really belong to the main storyline, sometimes these can be quite interesting.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. And then you've got like Jessica Chobot being in Mass Effect 2, I think she was.
It was 3?
I did not know who that is.
She is a chick who liked the PSP once and then got famous. She works for IGN.
Okay,
No, she was on Outside Xbox when Xbox had that, and I think it was Outside Xbox magazine.
Yeah, she was.
Back on the 360, and then she got on to IGN, and now she's on Nerdist. But at the time, she was working in Xbox.
Makes no sense to me whatsoever. That seems like a completely nonsensical decision.
She also wrote the game Daylight.
It's because she was a popular news anchor game person that was on things. That's
that makes a lot more sense than she licked a PSP. Sort of like, who do we want to voice this character? Oh, the guy who...
Well, she was hired by IGN after that.
In the game, she was like a news anchor in that game. She was interviewing you. She did her job in a video game. So that makes sense.
Her job within her job.
Job section. But then you've got games like, the Zombies game, and it had Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy, and all these other characters.
Call of Duty Black Ops 1. But they've also had other ones as well. Like, Call of Duty's got a big thing about having big names in their zombie series. So they had Sarah Michelle Gellar in Black Ops 1. They had some really famous mobster guy.
It wasn't just... Hold on here. It wasn't just Sarah Michelle Gellar. It was also Robert
There's like 4 characters.
And George Romero.
Only
George Romero, that's whose name I was thinking of, yes.
Yeah, but they only cared about Sarah Michelle Gellar, right?
Hey, I was there for Michael Rooker.
They also had, like, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
In Black Ops 3. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a map we don't talk about, but, Shadows of Evil we don't speak about.
I like that map.
Ew!
I think it aged well with time.
I'm physically disgusted. But no, it had Ron Perlman, Neil McDonough, Heather Graham, and Jeff Goldblum, with Robert Picardo as the villain.
Is awesome.
And then Mob of the Dead had what?
That's so many famous names in that as well.
Yeah. Joe Pantoliano, Ray Liotta, Michael Madsen, and some other guy who I'm definitely not gonna pronounce his name.
There was that one COD Zombies DLC that had JFK. I don't know if you could...
Actually, that wasn't DLC. That was 5. That was the base map in Black Ops 1.
Yeah. It was buy the season pass and we get this.
It was like you could just
it was a
download
default.
It. Yeah, not download it.
Castro and I'll fucking play
once you finish the story. Yeah, Castro. Yeah, we're off topic. I'm sorry. Castro, fucking JFK, Robert McNamara, and I'm not a crook guy. I can't remember his name for life.
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon. Thank you.
I know more about that.
So the other one in that Call of Duty franchise is the newest World War II. It's got David Tennant as their selling point for the zombies on that one.
David
Wow.
Tennant, the chick who played. Well, no, it's also got Ving Rhames, the chick who played Elektra in the Marvel Netflix verse, and
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember her name.
Elodie Young. Elodie Young's the chick who played Elektra. We'll get off. Black Ops 2 World War II Zombies. My bad.
World War II Zombies had David Tennant in it. I don't remember that.
Yes, the new one.
Oh right, that makes sense. I have heard nothing about that game as opposed to.
It's not bad.
Just said, "Hey, you can watch people open loot boxes," and just thought, "No."
Yeah, just avoid the multiplayer.
Can we consider Nolan North as a famous person?
Nolan
But
North
he's a voice
is...
actor. That's his job. That's literally his job.
Okay, well, hang on.
Every
I
game.
would say he's more famous along the lines of people who play games just because.
Well, what I'll give you
several
is
different people.
I will give you this. The time he appeared as Nolan North in Saints Row, I will give you that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He was also in Deadpool as Nolan North. So
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Those I'll give you those moments.
That
Like
was
those
more
moments.
That
That's
was
what
more
you
of
play.
like a meta thing, as opposed to anything else.
Yes. All right, we're gonna jump to the next and most enjoyable topic tonight: jiggle physics. Hell yeah!
Dead or
Oh,
alive.
yeah.
Can we put on
Beach
some careless
volleyball.
whisper as the background?
Yeah. See, I prefer two things jiggle. Actually, technically, if we want to be consider here, four things jiggling: tits and ass, two ass cheeks. Not one.
Stomach.
that jiggling
Rufus in
face.
Street Fighter 4
Well,
has
yeah, of course.
jiggling stomach.
You can jiggle a lot of things.
Quite frankly,
Like
if
Jello.
a game doesn't have a jiggling nose in it, then I'm fucking out. Nah,
How
gotta have
do
a
you
jiggle
feel-
nose.
How do you feel about the tongue moving whenever the character moves?
No, it depends. Is it viable to the game? Like Dead or Alive? I was actually talking about this today at work. That I think it took like an extra 3 months or 6 months, something like that, for one of them to come out because they had to perfect the jiggle physics for the
Wow.
tits.
That's some
Yeah.
effort.
Nah, I
So they
personally
put in
think-
work for that.
I personally think we need a HBO of gaming. Where it's literally just
We-
sort of like
Hang on, we
We've
do.
got
It's called
Dead or
like
Alive
hentai
people,
games. No, it's like
Oh,
hentai
yeah.
games. That's the HBO.
like, hentai visual comics are a great deal removed from, say, what you
Is
see
it
in
because of all
Game
the
of
tentacles? Is that the
Thrones.
problem?
Oh boy.
I mean, for one, I would say that hentai tends to have worse writing than Game of Thrones. I have
You
never.
don't say.
Although honestly, if you point me to a hentai game that has a Red Wedding equivalent in it, I will definitely play it.
Bible Black.
Okay. We're gonna quickly also split this. How do you guys feel about over-sexualized women as a gimmick?
If it fits the character, I have no
Yeah.
problem with it.
My
Yeah,
issue
I
with
think so.
that
I mean-
is in games where you have armor, but
Yeah.
the higher your armor gets, the less the woman wears.
Yeah, that's dumb as
no.
shit.
Which feels a little
That's
dumb.
stupid.
That's
Don't
really
get me
dumb.
wrong. If I'm creating a character in a video game and it's going to be a woman and I want her to be scantily clad, that's cool.
Hmm.
But if you've got a game, don't get me wrong, Dark Souls, I
Yeah.
think when you create women, they actually wear armor. But
Hmm.
other games, just like, no, you're going to just wear nothing but like this armored bra and that's it. Your midriff's going to be open. You're going to wear a loincloth. No, it's stupid. It doesn't suit the game. It's just like, here, you're a woman, wear less because guys will play it more.
Yeah,
Well, see,
I
I think
personally think it'd be
That for
quite
Elder
funny-
Scrolls 4.
I personally think it'd be quite funny if, like, say, in an RPG or something, you'd have an extra tough type character that because, like, he had really they had really tough skin or something, they just wear really skimpy armor. Like, just that race would have, like, men wearing weird gold mankinis and the women in nipple tassels. Just
I mean, you could play
But
as
there's a
lizard
reason
and have
for it.
scales.
just because they could, like, they could tank the hit, so they just wear as little as possible to make everyone else feel really uncomfortable.
But yeah,
See,
as
but at
I
least
said,
there's a
if it
reason
fits,
for it, though.
Yeah, if there's a reason, if it fits the character, I mean, we could debate here about, for example, is it reasonable that Quiet is from Metal Gear Solid is half naked?
Well,
There's a reason for that.
There was a
Yeah,
reason.
well.
It was a bit of a flimsy one, but it was a reason, you know.
Well, yeah, but it was the same reason that they shared with the guy called The End, who was like this weird old guy, and he was completely covered in a ghillie suit. So, like, if that guy was wearing a
ghillie suits would be more breathable than like jeans and a t-shirt.
Well, to be fair,
yeah,
he
but
was
the thing was-
in a jungle where a ghillie suit is very useful.
Well, yeah, but the whole point was she couldn't wear clothes because she needed to have her skin exposed to sunlight so she could breathe.
Well, yeah, she was wearing clothing. It's just she wasn't wearing a lot of clothing.
Yeah,
She was
but
wearing,
he
like,
was
combat-
wearing a lot of clothing, even though he had the same thing about him. So, if it made if there was no reason for him to not show a lot of skin.
He was also an old man. No, one wants to see that. I think we found the reason why.
Yeah, it's a flimsy reasoning with Quiet.
Well, it's also the fact that these games were made like how long apart from each other?
Very long.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, there's definitely characters where it makes sense.
Wait, is Metal Gear Solid 5 set after 3? It's set after Snake Eater, right?
Yes. Like 20 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to use technology has improved since then, but yeah.
Well, it could just be that genetics. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go with
some
that.
sort of photosynthesis.
Snake Eater was during like the Cold War era.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
and it was
So-
the big boss.
So you could technically reason, but yeah, it's a very flimsy reason.
It's just terrible, but like overall,
Yeah.
I think
I have to admit, I do think that we should have like a HBO of gaming where it's just sort of like lots of nudity, lots of everything all over the place. Just everyone's naked.
Leisure
But yeah,
suit.
yeah, Dead or Alive,
I think the
Beach
problem is
Volleyball
that the
too.
main distributors.
Yeah, I
you-
mean,
you
nudity
get
and
scared
stuff
of
like
it.
that, it's not wrong. It's definitely not
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, games are growing up as a medium, and if that is so, then you have to be able to deal with nudity. But yeah,
Like The
sometimes
Witcher.
there are very immature ways you can deal with it, and there are very mature
I mean,
ways to do
have
it.
any of you heard of a game called
Mods.
Bone Town?
Bone Town.
Bone
Phone
Town.
town.
Yes.
That
This
sounds
was
like
a real
strip club.
game.
That's a strip club.
Where literally the gameplay was you have to have like the whole idea was that you were just this guy who showed up in this place called Bone Town, and the
You
whole
bone
thing
things?
of Bone Town was people only cared about you based on how big your balls were,
Good
and you
God.
could
That's that South Park episode.
Fucking.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you could and the
Medical
only way
chicken.
to make your balls larger was to have sex with people.
Obviously.
Of course.
Yeah, but the thing was that
Fucking VD.
you sort of had to work through the hierarchy of women there, because the only people who would have sex with a guy with fucking tiny
Small
balls
balls.
like you would be the fat girls. So you'd work your way up.
Wow.
Yeah, so you'd start off just
Bastard.
having sex in the street with this fat girl, and you'd slowly have to,
Yeah, that doesn't make
work your
sense.
way
The
up
fat
the
ones want
bimbo.
big balls.
In the street too. You don't even get to
And-
go to a house or
Yeah,
anything.
and it was so fucking weird. Ron Jeremy was in it. You could
Oh.
smoke
Of
crack
course,
and
Ron Jeremy
weed.
was. Of course,
Our
he
God-
was.
our
Yeah,
God and
Ron
Savior.
Jeremy was in it. There was,
Ron Jeremy is in everyone.
Hey, that goes back to our
Satan.
last topic: celebrities in gaming.
I think Satan was in it as well. There was this for some reason.
Was it the
trailer
South
showed
Park
up this
Satan,
bit
though?
where a bunch of Native Americans argued with a bunch of Indians about who should be called Indians. It was
Ah.
the worst, most cringy kind of sort of edgy humor that you could have. That
Right.
almost made it good. It was like the exploitation movie of video games.
But yeah,
I'm
I would say,
Wikipediaing this
you know,
right now.
as long as there's a market for stuff like that, you cannot really say anything about it. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, there's
I reckon-
enough people that buy Dead or Alive beach volleyball. So
Yeah, I mean,
what can
I
you
reckon-
say, right?
Yeah, I reckon that we need more like, Witcher 3s and Mass Effect.
Yeah,
It's just
sure.
sort of like, hey, you can have sex with this person unless why not ask them or whatever. But I do think that they're going. The thing with those is that they sort of stick to the whole sort of HBO thing where it has to look like it's simulated. Because of course, it's difficult to get to pay actors to just bang each other, because then you've got the whole sort of thing of, dude, we're not porn stars, we don't want to bang each other, we don't care if we pay you. But you don't have to do that with video games.
Technically, yeah.
Yes. All right. We're jumping on to the next train of conversation. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, probably
folks.
a good idea.
Yeah. All right. So we're splitting up question number 14 into 2 questions here. How do you guys feel about the concept of season passes? Personally, I'm fine with them for some games.
I think it's okay. Yeah,
It makes sense. Yes.
I have one story here. I don't know if everyone is or has heard of Dragon Ball FighterZ coming out.
Yep.
So before I don't know if you guys did or didn't, but I would definitely look into this. So they have 3 different types of game that you could purchase. There's the regular one, there's the one that comes with the season pass, and there's like the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition actually does not come out with the characters that are involved in the season pass one below it. It just comes out with the Goku figurine. So a lot of people have actually been refunding the one that, I think it's like $120 or something like that, $120. Ooh. Yeah. So people are refunding that to go get like the $80 one or whatever for just the characters.
Way too fucking much.
That's weird.
I do not see season passes at all. It's pre-ordering DLC. I mean, even nowadays, pre-ordering is just.
I'm fine with it for some games.
I think if you know what the DLC is going to be, and they say, here, this is the season pass, this is the DLC, do you want it, or do you just want this, or whatever, then it's fine. Like, Batman Arkham Knight had DLC, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm a huge Batman fan, and I love the Arkham games, except for Origins. The DLC for Arkham Knight wasn't worth the season pass, but as a Batman fan, I got it, but it definitely wasn't worth it. But you've got other games, like I think Mass Effect 2 had a season pass, and the DLC, they were actually full story add-ons. So it was worth it. And if you want to get all of the DLC that comes with that season pass, or the characters or whatever it is at that time, and it makes it cheaper, you probably should save you about, depending on how much it is, £2.50, $5, whatever, then it's cool. But if you don't know what you're going to get, and the season pass is $40, it's not worth it.
Well, yes, I see the season pass as a thing to get all the DLC in one package once they are rolled out, more than something like getting them in advance.
Yeah, the thing is, I never cared for season passes because most of the time I wait until a game has like a Game of the Year edition, and then I buy the complete package when I know what I'm getting.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, I think mostly season pass is literally just the same as pre-ordering. It's like, with pre-ordering, it was supposed to be the sort of like, I'll, give you the money so that you'll put my game to the side in the shop so that no one else can buy it, and I'll, be able to walk in late on during launch day and you won't have run out.
Yeah.
But, nowadays with like fucking
everything.
Amazon and Steam and digital distribution, there's just no point. I mean,
I would say, most games, what you're probably going to get. Like COD, you're getting 12 multiplayer maps, 4 zombies maps at this point. You know what you're going to get with that. So
you say that, but COD Ghosts was a massive.
We don't talk about that one.
Exactly.
I actually enjoy playing COD Ghosts.
The only thing, I'm going to quickly deviate from topic here. The only thing I enjoy about COD Ghosts is the squads mode, where you can like fuck around with the AI and shit. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. Awesome. Everything else, I'm like, Everything else.
It was good, but it got boring quick. But
the ending was interesting, and if you know anything about Infinite Warfare, the ending was really fucking interesting for these zombies in that game.
Of course, but I mean, as a game itself, it was it was good.
The thing with COD Zombies has always been, it's like, what if we made a campaign entirely out of Easter eggs?
I'm fine with that though. It's fun seeing just ridiculous shit.
It's not my sort of thing because I'm not good enough at it.
Well, I mean, even then, like, you know, there are good maps most of the time. Black Ops 3. I'll say one thing about Black Ops 3 really fast. It's nice having all the old maps with the original crew, but God, the new maps suck dick. Anyways, what's I gonna say? Yeah, like most games, you know what you're gonna get from them, and it's fine for season passes like that. There are some games where it's like, oh, you're charging $40 for a season pass, and we don't know what the fuck you're gonna offer.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's if the game ends up being great, then the season pass is a perfect way to just buy all the shit at once and normally save some money.
Yeah, I think when it comes to season passes, as I can't remember who said it, but you're definitely better off 99% of the time waiting for the Game of the Year or the Ultimate Edition. But you've got games like Injustice 2 has a season pass, but you also have like what was said before for Dragon Ball Fighters. Injustice did it really well. You've got the ultimate version, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have the stupid thing that's nothing else. If you got the ultimate pack, then you had everything that the game came with, characters, blah, 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 all that jazz. And there's a separate pack with just like some skins, and then there's just the normal game. Even, I think Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite did it as well, but I think they only had the pre-order with the ultimate one with all the characters and then just the normal game. But things like that, that's fine. But if you've got the season pass for the characters, as long as it saves you money and not just here, have these characters, I generally don't see an issue with that in fighting games. But story-wise, that's a touchy subject.
Yeah, I like the idea that, you know, especially with fighters, I feel like a lot of the time they do it where not only do you get the characters earlier than people who didn't get the Ultimate Edition or whatever, but you end up saving like 15, 20 bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like sort of like artificial sort of incentives, like, oh, hey, if you pre-order this, you'll get it earlier than everyone else. Not, you know, because
I'm kind of okay.
Sort of like, not because the games run out or anything, but because we won't actually sell it to the other people until then. Just sort of feels.
I'm okay with that because it's a choice, because you're gonna get it anyway. So it's a matter of, do you want to spend a bit more money to get it? Because it's purely an option. It's an incentive, and that's all it is. It's not saying you won't get it if you don't do this. It's, I have the game, I have to wait like extra week. But if you get the season pass, you get the characters that you want anyway, if you want them. Or do I wait an extra week? That's all it is. So it's fine as an incentive to pre-order. Or if you just get the season pass, which isn't part of the pre-order, you can say, I have a season pass, so I'm going to get this a week early.
It like happens with a multiplayer game. The people who have pre-ordered will have been playing the multiplayer, I don't know, a week, maybe half a week before anyone else even gets the game. You know, some people have even been playing it like an entire week if they just, you know, didn't play the campaign or whatever and just went straight into the multiplayer, and that's giving them an advantage over the people who didn't pre-order because they've been, you know, essentially had a massive head start.
And that's why you get good.
Yeah, but most games that's not really a problem, you know.
Yeah, I mean, take Overwatch. There's no early access directly within pre-orders and stuff like that, but they do release it on the PC first, and then you've got people that PC and Xbox game or whatever first. So it's the same no matter what.
I mean, the game launched in the same state: PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
Also, being a higher level
characters.
Being a higher level in Overwatch means nothing.
It just means you're getting more loot boxes over time.
Yeah, you get more skins.
All the skins and the voice notes.
I would say that having more skins does mean something in a multiplayer game.
Not really.
Not when it's loot box based, as we said before.
You're playing with other people, so It's just like any sort of like other sort of social interaction.
I guess
you will feel the need to stand out. Individually.
The skin that mattered the most when it came to multiplayers was
interactions in games as well. I just think that sort of hiding that sort of thing behind a paywall, it's just like it's pretty much just cutting up the game. It's just a part of the game that a lot of people seem to be all right with for some reason.
I think for these kind of DLCs, which is in 2 topics time, I'll probably come back to that. For that, I'm perfectly fine with, for reasons I'll get into in a bit. But I think this is in itself. I think probably for the bigger, who are big fans of a franchise like your Call of Duty and your Battlefront, they are the kind of people who know going to end up buying all the DLCs anyway. And if you buy them separately, it's more expensive than buying the season pass.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to buy them all anyway, why not get the season pass? And anyway, usually nowadays it comes with something free anyway, so it's like.
You see, the thing is though, what if the DLC turns out to be something that you wouldn't have bought if you knew what it was when?
That's what Reddit's for, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's not very useful if you've already bought the season pass.
I think it just boils down to the fact of if you know what you're getting, then the season pass is okay. If you don't know what you're getting, then it's not okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it turns out that the next COD will have no DLC aside from a bunch of maps based around My Little Pony, and they're all buggy as shit, would a lot of people who would have bought the season passes have bought them? I don't think they would have.
I would buy it just to laugh at the fucking maps. Just like, I did this to myself. I'm the idiot.
Well, I say that, to be perfectly honest, if there was a My Little Pony COD map out, I probably would buy it just out of morbid curiosity.
There's nothing wrong with being a brony. It's okay.
So we're going to jump into the next topic really fast, which is multiple season passes.
That sounds even more dumb.
The only game
less sense.
The only game I know that does it is technically, well, you can say technically, but I shouldn't just say it does it, is fucking Rainbow Six Siege. There is a yearly season pass on that game.
No, it's bullshit. It's just bullshit.
What?
No, you have a season pass.
It doesn't make any sense, really. But it opens up for an interesting level of recursiveness, meaning that you make some season passes, then you make the season pass of the season passes, and then you keep going on and on and on this way.
How is this different from a monthly fee that you pay, for example, in World of Warcraft?
That's a subscription.
Might be a little bit better
The thing is, this sort of thing's ripe for exploitation. So, like, you'll get a game that has a lifespan of like 50 years, a season pass for each year, and you get like a massive pyramid of different season passes that accompany each lower level of season pass. So, like, you'll get a season pass,
season passception,
season pass. That'll cost like £10,000, but it'll last you for like the next half a century. It's like,
okay, hang on.
Oh, hey, I spent 10,000 quid on this. That'll be the kind of thing that people end up putting down on their will.
Who plays sports games in this?
To my grandchildren, I give my lifetime season pass for FIFA 25.
Yeah, we got it. We got it a minute ago.
So all of you play, well, not all, but like a lot of you play sports games. For me,
No.
I refuse to play sports games because in general I can play sports in real life, give or take the sport. But I refuse to play like the FIFA, the 2Ks, all that kind of stuff in general, or buy them yearly because they're just huge DLCs.
Yeah, you're just getting a roster update.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I remember before you had a game called Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
And all you did on that was get the game, go to your friend's house, and you would then get all the the real kits, as it were, for the football or soccer and everything. So it's just a DLC. Like every year, it's just another DLC that you're spending $40, $50 pounds for, whatever the game is, whether it's mad.
EA and 2K and whatever have been putting microtransactions into those things as well. That people have spent a lot of money on.
Yeah, like the VR coins and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just predatory. I'm really looking forward to legislation being put against that sort of thing.
If it happens.
I don't really want to get bogged down in that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want that to happen in the first place, and they're quite a lot of money put into that not happening. But they do, like people who, in power, like the politicians who do want to see it happen, do seem quite passionate about it. Like that Hawaiian senator.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get into the next topic because we've been going on for about 2 hours now. We need to speed this one up. Yeah, QuickTime events. So not technically really a selling point. There's a ton of games that press X to not die. Jason. Jason.
Well, anyway, they should be used sparingly, if you ask me, because every once in a while, maybe. But if they become like the only way to get past an obstacle, then it becomes just. Aside from the fact that it becomes annoying, it just breaks the flow of the game.
Yeah.
I think it's like with a lot of things I've.
I thought QuickTime events have pretty much died out by now. You never really see them.
No. There's still a ton of games that have them in there.
Telltale.
I think with a lot of things that I've said, it depends on the game. Like Telltale's, they live more or less on QuickTime events, but because there's so much narrative within, or at least for the most part, there's so much narrative within that, it works within that part. It's not an action adventure game. It's a story game with things that you can do, and they're done through QuickTime. You've got Heavy Rain. That's a QuickTime event game, but that's heavily based on story. If you've got games like Bayonetta, that's not a QuickTime event game, but they have stacks of them. And Asura's Wrath.
It should only be story-based games that actually have QuickTime events, because it's a terrible mechanic, but you sit through it because it's a decent story.
Yeah.
It makes cutscenes definitely a lot more interesting, I'll say that.
Yeah, if you can fail them and the game goes on. If the cutscene restarts,
Soul
if you
Calibur
fail the
3 did
QuickTime,
that.
it's kinda boring.
You say that,
Soul
but
Calibur
like,
3 implemented
fighting,
QuickTime events, and it affected the story as well.
yeah, I mean, if if a cutscene is already boring, a QuickTime event isn't going to change that.
But
Well, like with Resident Evil 4. Like with Resident Evil 4, where like example, like you're running away from that huge boulder and everything, or when you're fighting the huge fish guy and you have to like cut the rope off of your leg and everything. I mean, it makes it a cutscene that's kind of interesting. It makes it a lot more interesting.
Well,
If
I mean,
for whatever reason you lose, then I mean, obviously you're screwed.
Running away from a giant boulder should be interesting enough by itself to not need to poke you with a stick every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is
Well-
kind of what it is. Is like, hey, wake up! You're not dead, are you? Please keep playing our game.
Well,
I think it's a
QuickTime
matter of,
events.
does it enhance the story or not? With the cutting off the rope thing, it makes sense. In The Walking Dead Season 2, there's a part where you have to sew your arm back together and you have to or push something over. You tap the X button or whatever you're on. That makes sense because it's showing the struggle that you're doing. If it shows a struggle of some sort, then it works.
Yeah, it can enhance the game.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
QuickTime events can work, but they can't be used as a crutch. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be interesting enough for you to, play it without the QuickTime events. Because if you're just being bored, what will happen is a QuickTime event will come up, you'll be like, "Oh crap," and miss it, and it'll just get annoying as opposed to being like, "Ooh, when the next one's gonna be?" Whatever.
What QuickTime events can also be very good for, in my opinion, is in certain like fighting games,
Mortal Kombat.
Not necessarily Mortal Kombat. This goes also a bit back to the power gaming fantasy. If you're playing like a really strong character, even if you're a good player, there's a limit to what you can do as that character, how much you can destroy your enemies. And then QuickTime events can serve to make it possible for you to make an even more destructive move that normally would be reserved as a cutscene, but still feel like you did it. For example,
like in Dragon Ball Z?
I don't know that game that much, but for example, Azura's Wrath was a game that did that for me. Because you're fighting a lot in that game, and whenever you kill one of the overpowered like enemy boss monsters, in the end you will get that QuickTime event, and the more precise you hit these QuickTime things, the more destructive you're gonna get, and the more you beat up the enemy. And that feels really good and really powerful.
And what about like Until Dawn? Like that's a game that uses a lot of QuickTime that honestly I think is very crucial, because there's points where it's either like, oh, pick up this gun or save your friend kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that's a game that uses QuickTime where you pick something and you get a certain consequence happening to you.
Yeah, right. If there's a consequence for you to fail a QuickTime event other than just game over, try again, then that is very cool. As in,
different story arc.
So that you really feel, oh, I fucked this one up, I will try better next time, you know? Or that you really feel a consequence. It's not very fun if you do a QuickTime event and then, oh, I failed. Okay, let's try it again and again and again. Then it becomes really, really boring.
Yeah, I definitely think.
What about Telltale's kind of ones?
Don't
those
really
are absolutely fine.
Consequences, you will remember that.
I think the problem with QuickTime events is that they're used to like create choices within a story where it's sort of like, oh, which of your friends are you going to shoot, or are you going to run onto the train tracks to save that baby or not? But the problem is that they sort of leave the choice that you made feeling a bit inorganic.
Nah, I think in Telltale's, when you've got that kind of choice about who you're going to save and it gives you 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Depending on the environment you're in within that story part, then it's very organic because it's meant to rush you. If it's rushing you for no reason, then yeah. But that's why some of them are timed longer than the others.
No, it's what I meant was it's giving you two options, which in some cases is gonna feel like, oh, I'm making cool decisions, or rather, oh look, pressing this button will sort everything out. And I think that the QuickTime event itself, there's no way around it truly making it not push X to not die or save this person instead of that person, whatever. I think probably the zenith of the QuickTime thing would essentially be going back to just having normal controls. So you press R1 to aim your gun, and you press L1 to use your laser vision or whatever your character has, and using this at any point in the game could change something.
Yeah, the thing about that is that QuickTime events make things like that accessible to people who are not really good at games. Because I know people that there is a scene like in Dead Space when you're getting grabbed by a tentacle and you have to shoot 6 or 7 weak spots of the tentacle before it drags you back into its lair. And for me, that was not a problem. But I know people who would have thrown away the controller at that point because it was too difficult for them, because they're not used to shooter games. And there, a QuickTime event can actually come in handy to enable somebody who is not used to this kind of controls, maybe.
Sure.
Well, okay. Here, hang on.
At the end of the day, that's an argument between, whether
skill over.
Should be deleted to.
Well, no. I have a thing here though. Would it be better to have that as a different mode for the game, Like,
no.
I mean, like, if you're newer to the game, this is, this would have more quick time events, stuff like that. But if you're, used to games like that, would it be better to have it as a different difficulty for actually aiming and shooting at the things individually? Or
yeah, I think the problem with that is that it does put quite a lot of strain on the developers, because they are pretty much having to develop two separate sorts of games
different modes.
Yeah, well, also, you would have a completely different experience there from the guy who actually plays the normal game, and that is kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we ready to move on to the next topic here?
Sure.
Alright, so story DLC and/or expansion packs. Now, this is one I'm a big fan of myself. I'm just going to get that right out of the way. A whole bunch of great games have had expansion DLC, like Grand Theft Auto 4 had 2 much better than the main story with mechanics, and pretty good stories themselves otherwise. DLCs with Ballad of Gay Tony and Lost and Damned. There's a ton of good expansions and DLC over time, so I want to hear what you guys think about these.
I think Witcher 3 is probably the shining star most people use for this sort of thing.
More recently, yeah, I'd agree.
Which game was that, sorry?
Witcher 3.
Oh, yeah.
I never played it, but I hear nothing but good things about it.
I have it. I don't have it. I own the game. I don't have it installed on my Steam, but I have heard that the combat's a bit sort of samey.
Yeah.
Aside from,
samey in what context? Like as previous games or overall?
Overall.
Probably overall, but I think that the main draw of the game is the whole narrative sort of thing, as opposed to the what if you could fight monsters.
I will say this, the Diablo 3 expansion pack definitely saved the game. I remember when I first got Diablo 3, and I wasn't as big of a fan of it, but then when they did the expansion for it, it could really enhance a game and make it just so much better than the original.
Absolutely, and I think for me, the best expansion I've ever played was actually a bit before that, Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction.
Yep.
That was, in my opinion, the best expansion ever. 2 completely new character classes and a complete new act you could play through. That was so much content.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have Diablo 2 on CD and Lord of Destruction. I think I own like 5 copies of it. Because I would give the CDs to my friends so we could play together, and because they didn't want to buy the game, so I basically bought like several copies of it and distributed them among my friends.
Yeah. Had to have CD keys for that.
Back then, yeah. Now you can play it without a CD, thanks to Blizzard's Steam-like service. I don't know what it's called.
Blizzard.net or Battle.net.
Right.
Battle.net.
Right.
Battle.net. I think I'm very torn with story DLC because, as I mentioned before, with Batman Arkham Knight, the story DLC in that, which some of it was in pre-order bonus as well as season pass as well, it wasn't good. I liked it purely because I liked the Batman mythos. If I didn't care about Batman at all in that context, as just purely a game by itself, that story DLC was incredibly weak. You did 3 different levels. It didn't really impact on the story itself. It let you know what the individual characters are doing, sort of, after you completed the main game. Like, that's when they were set, except for the Harley Quinn one, which was before. But other games like Mass Effect 2, that story DLC actually enhances the story in the main game, whether it's set in between it or after or before. It enhances it, and that, I think, is where story DLC should be. It shouldn't be just here, have these characters or something like that. That's cool. But I think other games, like when it comes to COD, those expansion packs, for me, because I haven't touched a COD game since I played Modern Warfare 4 and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. Other than that, I do not touch COD. So expansion for that doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I'm going to sort of defend it here because I'm a big Zombies fan. And that is a very, very, very big story serial, and it's just beautiful to have it as this over time, especially because it releases over time. It gives you 3 months, or the community to have like 3 months between maps to have theories of where it's going, and it's very, very, very story driven in a very subtle story driven way. So it's meant to be there for, here is a map, theorize about it for the next year.
Although they do play very fast and loose and canon sometimes. It's like, hang on, wait, that doesn't make sense.
The timeline, because the timeline's actually solidified it now. But but it's very much a game mode that's based.
So it's very meta.
I do
the work outside of the map in order to gain the benefit of the story that the map is trying to tell. Even some of the Easter egg steps. This main quest line is, okay, here's something. Now go away and
now try to figure out what's going to
figure out what to do with it. Like figure out what this coding method is, or it's a game outside the game, and it's brilliant. The only thing is, it's part of the Call of Duty franchise, which means you have to buy a £50 game for a £40 DLC just to get the maps. That's the only gripe I have about it, but it's beautiful as a story serial. If it was done separate from Call of Duty, like the Telltale kind of way, where they say, here is chapter 1, in 3 months we give you chapter 2, and then chapter 3, chapter 4. That would have been as a lower price thing, that would be much better, but it is what it is.
Of course.
I do think that expansions and stuff like that do sort of give developers the tools, whether like they're building off the main game, but it does sort of give them the freedom to mess around with it a bit or whatever, like Blood Dragon for Far Cry 3, or the following for Dying Light, which was not canon and ended up dealing with all sorts of like weird cults, and you got to drive a car and they just get to have fun with it, and I think that's a pretty cool idea. And of course,
I agree, that's really good.
You'd also get expansions like just Hearts of Stone and the other Witcher 3 one, which is just sort of like
Blood and Wine.
Blood and Wine, that's it. It's just sort of like adding more story to a game that's all about the story. So it's just
wasn't there a Gwent minigame that they did?
Well, yeah, Gwent's also its own game now. Also,
yeah, that was just its own game, as opposed to doing an expansion or anything.
That's good. I think things like that are good as well.
Yeah, mini game.
I think my absolute favorite DLC to a game that I've ever played is Saints Row 4. These were just so much fun. It wasn't even that it did anything to the story. Great, it had a story that went along with the main story. Even Get Out of Hell still had a story that tied in with the main story. But it was just so ridiculous that it just was laughable like the entire time. It was just... it can't take itself seriously, that franchise. It's just brilliant.
Far Cry did that as well.
Anything. With Blood Dragon.
Valley of the Yetis. Or what, Far Cry 4 or...
4 and I think 3 too, right?
Yeah, you had Blood Dragon, the insane sort of cyborg 80s thing where you had to fight, weird sort of giant glowing neon Komodo dragons.
All right.
Yeah.
It sounds cool, and it is cool, but yeah.
All right, so we're going into the final topic of the night. It is how long is it now? What are we currently at?
I think we're at like 3 hours.
2 hours and 50 minutes, pretty much.
2 hours.
It's been a wild ride.
Wow. All right. I'm giving us 10 minutes, folks. 10 minutes. Virtual reality. So VR is basically been the big craze. It's been a big boom. And it's something that we've been chasing since the 80s. We've wanted a headset where we can look into a helmet, right? And see the entire world. Well, we have that now.
I feel it like they are about like motion controls. It depends on how they are used more than the technology itself.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I think a lot of this falls in line with the motion sensors when it came to the Wii and stuff like that. It's a very similar thing. What's the application that you're doing with it? Does it enhance the game? how real do you want your game?
It
What
enhances
else can
horror
you really
games,
do?
that's for sure.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
horror
it
games.
does. It is terrifying.
It enhances social games the most.
Well, we've had games like Resident Evil 7 PSVR. Do you know the way?
Do you know the way, my brother?
But I mean, like,
please, brother, let me show you the way.
Like, one of the biggest reasons to get a PlayStation VR is the fact that you can play Resident Evil 7 in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is with VR, it has certain limitations, and the devs are still trying to figure out what the limitations are. And for example, one of the most recent, like, big examples for me, what VR is not good at is, for example, Doom. There was the recent Doom game, and I played both versions. I played the normal one and the
VFR.
What was it called? V fucking R, right?
Yeah.
And the comparison is so strange. In the normal Doom, you run around, you jump, you shoot. It's a very, very agile game. And VR is not good at that, in my opinion, because teleporting around is so awkward. And then just reorientating yourself to shoot at the enemy, and then you have to teleport again because otherwise you're dead. It's just not really made for such hectic games. And it's better if it's a bit more calm. For example, cover shooters would be absolutely fantastic in VR.
Time Crisis in VR.
Yeah, or sword fighting, something that you're standing and you can focus in one direction, but if you have to look in every direction and run and jump and shoot, that is too much. You don't have the control you have with a mouse and keyboard or a controller.
Yeah, I definitely think that the VR dev scene is probably a lot it's way different to, say, the motion controls one, because with motion controls it was like the Wii sort of came out of nowhere and everyone bought it and everyone ended up trying to play catch up. I think with VR, you've not only had a more even playing field from the start with competition and the like, which I think is partly due to the fact that there wasn't any big surprises when it came to it, because I mean it started off with like the Oculus Rift Kickstarter. So we already knew about VR before it was out. We knew that it was going to be a thing, and that gave other people time. It gave the other companies time to sort of come up with an answer to it. They weren't playing catch up. And also, I think that because it's seen as more like a, I don't know, hobbyist type thing at the moment, they're focused more on cutting edge technology as opposed to affordability. So like the Vive costs like what, £800 or $900 or whatever.
Pretty much, yeah. When I bought it a year ago, it wasn't like 900 or something. Yeah.
But you know that it's pretty much
Vive is $600.
Right now it's a bit cheaper, but still, if somebody would ask you why exactly should I pay $600 for the Vive alone, and then I need a PC who can handle it, and why exactly am I buying this? Is there any good games there? And right now you cannot, with a good conscience, recommend it. In my opinion, there's some good stuff coming out. I mean, Fallout is fun, but it's not there yet. Fallout looks shit in the Vive. It really looks terrible.
You can also get the Oculus Rift for $399.
Yeah.
It's a bit, the thing is, the Oculus is a bit more limited because it's more seated play and not stand-up, and I think stand-up room scale play is where VR really excels.
Yeah.
If you move around, jump around, duck to dodge like a shot or something, that is where it really comes to life.
Yeah. I think personally the only thing that you need to convince someone to buy a Vive is just show them the Ugandan Knuckles meme. Just a bunch of people crowding around.
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way, my brothers?
Spit on the fake queen. All right, is that all for tonight, boys?
Oh, I could talk about VR for hours, but let's.
Yeah,
leave
we
it at
do
that.
not have.
Yeah,
hours.
we've already.
Yeah,
I feel
been
bad for.
using poor Renegade patience.
Yeah,
for
Ren
quite a
is
while
going to
now.
have to edit this, and I feel sorry for him. We've gone off topic. We've deviated. It's
I don't. I think it's funny.
I feel bad for him. I imagine this is going to be a nightmare to edit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everybody, we're going to go in order all the way down. So at Twitter, you can find me at Bane4You. I'm also streaming on Twitch, but you can find my Twitch on my Twitter, which I will link and I will tweet out. Conso.
I don't now. I'm reading at the document when we have our list. We should also say about our favorite and least favorite gimmicks.
Oh yeah,
we-
totally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start that. Yep. My favorite gimmick out of all of these, well, other than of course jiggle physics.
We're all made of flesh, and
Ever
flesh is
again?
weak, isn't it?
Yes. I would probably have to say amiibos. You know, they're cute little things. I think they're adorable as shit. I love them.
Okay, so it's up to me now. For starters, I'd say that now my favorite. I was on the fence between level editor and character creation, but I will go for level creation because user-generated content can really increase the lifespan of a game to eternity, basically.
Yeah.
And as far as least favorite goes, I'd go with loot boxes because they do not only nickel and dime the player, but they also exploit the ludopathy or compulsive gambling. I don't know what is the exact name. That is classified as a clinical addiction. So I'd say that they are exploiting people's weaknesses for their own profit.
Oh, I forgot to do least favorite. I think online passes. Also, another candidate for favorite smell-o-vision. After what I mentioned earlier.
No.
So about me, I host Consoles Video Games Perspectives on YouTube, and my Twitter is at VG Perspectives, but is no longer active, basically. And I occasionally post stuff at vgperspectives.wordpress.com.
All right, Sheep.
So my favorite is probably going to be the graphics, as long as it's appropriate. Like we said, more artistic style over graphics, but the graphics, as long as it's game.
It's in working.
But being a Call of Duty fan, the graphics getting better is something that is quite good.
Yeah,
My least favorite, goddamn motion controls. They've been the bane of my life during the PS3 era, and they can go.
I don't know who at Sony thought that was actually a good idea.
I don't know. And who thought the iToy was good? Jesus. No. Told off by my friends for shitting on the iToy in these podcasts too much.
Hey, nothing wrong with shitting on the iToy. That deserves some shit. I had the PS2 and the PS3 iToy. Fuck.
But in terms of where you can find me at YouTube as RetroSheep08 and on Twitter as RetroSheep08.
All right, Shadow Pyro.
DS Shadow Pyro. You can. Oh wait, no favorites. My favorite is character customization. Or character customization / creation. Definite favorite. Always has been. Probably always will be. Least favorite. Probably VR, as there isn't much going on with it right now. But I think if I. Because I find a way to bypass everything else on this to be like, okay, you know what, I can choose not to get that. But if we're going by me, what I actually encounter, probably on-disc DLC or online passes. Those things probably gripe me the most when it comes to that.
There we go.
I think that's a fairer least favorite for those two. As for where you can find me, you can catch me on YouTube at DS Pyro or Django Jr., whichever one you want to type in. I'll come up with either of them. I am on Instagram, which is probably a bit more of a personal touch to it because I just post whatever the hell I want on there. And that's also linked to my Twitter at DSPyro_.
There we are. Jamajon.
Yeah, so I would say that my favorite would be the loot boxes. Like I said, it's just a way more. I think it's more of an incentive to play the game. Like I said, I like the fact that I can open one of these up without having to pay for it, and then I get a new character, and then I'm just, bam, I'm wanting to play even more hours. My dislike would either be the online passes or multiple season passes. If you're going to make a season pass, just give me one and just get it over with. I mean, year-long season passes just sound silly to me. And you can find me on YouTube at the Happy Campers or on Twitter just at Jamajon.
All right. Instagram, I'm not going to call you Grump this time. Don't worry.
Grump.
Yeah.
Well, I saw them, I don't know where I go with this, so I saw Grump and
Yeah. I suppose my favorite's a bit of a weird one, because it's sort of the Wii U gamepad, but there's only one game that I think that it was properly used on, and that was Zombie U. So technically, my favorite gimmick is the game Zombie U, because I loved everything about that game, the way the game.
I'll allow it.
Enhance the survival crap, but yeah, if you ever want to play that game, get a Wii U first.
I'm gonna say you can get it on PS4, PC, Xbox.
You can, but there's no point because it removes everything.
It's still a good game.
I think it removed what made the game great though, because not only was there the multiplayer in the original one that was bloody amazing, but also the whole the game was built around sort of having to look down to sort out
the gamepad,
and do all sorts of stuff, and I just think it changed the pace and atmosphere of the game to a really cool degree, and I just wish that more people had done something similar.
All right, what's the least favorite?
Least favorite? I don't know. I mean, I guess in the way we're talking about gimmicks, it could really be any of the sort of money grabbing ones, so like microtransactions, loot boxes, just the greedy ones in general. I'm not a big fan of the ones that are just trying to get you to pay more money. Anyway, I do technically have a YouTube and Twitch, but I never do anything on them, so maybe I suppose you could follow me on Twitter at another fucking and then bully me to try and make some videos.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And Shadow, my boy.
Yo, so my least favorite, I would say the loot boxes, because they can be exciting, but a lot of games recently fucked them up and really implemented them badly. So that is a practice that has to stop.
Overwatch.
And my favorite right now, I just have to say it's VR, because I'm a VR enthusiast. I play it so much, and I think there's a lot of good experiences to be had and still to be developed for VR. I really think it's a promising gimmick. And for where you can find me as Shadow1990CH on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, although I don't stream that much. On YouTube, I post like 6 videos a week or something, and I have a weekly VR series where I play most of the time the newest VR releases, and it's very fun.
Who's unzipping a body bag?
Jiggle physics. No.
What? I hope that someone's associating jiggle physics with body bags here.
Well, hey, everything's got to jiggle for a bit. All right, so this is the end of Rebellion's Edge podcast about best and worst gaming gimmicks, which it's been very long, and I'm sorry that we've kind of dragged you on a little bit, but it was fun.
If you're going to apologize to anyone, apologize to Renegade.
Okay, yeah, fair point. Ren, I am so sorry. But hey, he always knocks it out of the park. All right. Well, you take it easy, folks. Have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. Try to keep warm in this really, really cold weather. And I think Red just told me to go fuck myself. So, hey. See you later, boys.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Yep.
See you later, everyone.